Chapter 1285, The Emperor's Fire Blue Lotus. Chapter 1285, The Emperor's Fire Blue Lotus. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for passing the second stage of the 3 stages of life and death, ladder question of God. Congratulations player Long Fei for passing the second stage of the 3 stages of life and death, ladder question of God. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Emperor Fire Blue Lotus. Do you wish to cultivate it? Huh. The Emperor Flaming Blue Lotus. What is this? Long Fei had never heard of such a thing. The moment the system beep disappeared, he immediately opened the system to take a look. He only saw a ball of green flames floating in his mind. He possessed the power of an emperor. Moreover, the entire cluster of flames was shaped like a blooming lotus flower. Item: Emperor Flaming Blue Lotus Grade. Emperor Grade Damage. 10 stars. Description: collect the power of the Heavenly Emperor and fuse it with the power of the Heavenly Fire. Good stuff. The damage is actually 10 stars. Isn't this too awesome? Long Fei looked at the attribute of the Emperor Flame Blue Lotus in shock. The fusion power of the Heavenly Emperor and the Heavenly Flame is definitely powerful enough to bring lightning with it. Its value is more than 10 times that of the Loyalty Stone. Long Fei became even more excited. For the second stage to reward such a great object, the reward of passing the 3rd stage is definitely going to be heaven-defying. Just as Long Fei was thinking about this. Boom, boom, boom. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The stairs floating in the air behind him fell down one by one, breaking apart and finally disappearing into the darkness of the abyss. There was only a series of rumbling sounds. Second stage. It was still a violent assault. Long Fei did not think of any shortcuts. The trick was to kill him every step of the way, and kill him every step of the way, which was something he was not clear of. He had killed him for a full 3 days and 3 nights, and his experience bar was almost full. Seeing that the steps behind him had fallen into the void of darkness one by one, Long Fei frowned and thought to himself, "This is to cut off my retreat path. The 3rd test, I'm coming." He took a step forward. Buzz. The door flashed open as Long Fei walked in. It was also at this time the stairs he had been standing on cracked and crumbled, falling into the abyss of darkness. Rumble. Rumble. Waves of rumbling sounds came from deep within the Kunlun sect. Hua Xian was the first to rush out, landing at the forbidden grounds of the 3 stages of life and death. The idea moved, wanting to feel if Long Fei was still alive or not, but his idea was simply unable to enter. Not long after, Hualin also rushed over. Hualin asked, "Father, how is he?" Hua Xian shook his head and said, "I don't know if the explosion just now was caused by him. I'm afraid." He did not continue, because there was only one explanation for this sound. Long Fei had been buried. If Long Fei died, then Kunlun Zi would not be able to explain himself. If the life essence was truly refined by Long Fei, then it would be a true chance for the Kunlun sect to rise in power once. This opportunity was not even in his, Hua Xian's, hands. A few more elders landed. One of them was Lu Qianhuan. He rushed over as soon as he heard the noise. "I want to know about Long Fei's situation." Seeing Hua Xian's furrowed brows, he secretly sneered in his heart. "Brat, even trash like you want to pass the 3 trials of life and death, stop dreaming and die inside." And then Lu Qianhuan said slightly, "Sect Master, it's great that Long Fei died inside. His bounty will belong to our Kunlun sect. This is 100 million Xian crystal. It's enough for us Kunlun sect to spend for dozens of years. With this amount of money, not waiting for him to finish." Hua Xian glared as he said angrily, "I don't want to hear any more of these words." Long Fei is a distinguished guest brought back by the Grand Elder. Even if we cannot stay here, we cannot do anything to him. This is our principle." "Yes, yes, yes." Lu Qianhuan repeatedly nodded his head, but in his heart, he spoke with contempt. "What are you pretending for? I don't believe that 100 million Xian crystal are not moving you." "Humph. I think you've already thought about it. You're just trying to trick Long Fei into entering the 3 trials of life and death, so you can kill him?" Lu Qianhuan sneered in his heart. Hua Xian asked, "How are Long Fei's friends?" One of the elders glanced at Lu Qianhuan from the corner of his eyes. The elder indifferently replied, reporting to Sect Master, "Everything is normal." Hua Xian nodded and said, "Do not provoke them again. Do your best to satisfy their needs." The elder immediately said, "As you command." The matter of the 8 King Kong being killed was caused by the combined efforts of several clan elders. What he did was flawless. No one knew. Hua Xian's center of gravity was always placed on Long Fei, who was in the 3 stages of life and death and Kunlunzi's seclusion, so he wasn't too concerned about the 8 King Kong. Since this was the Kunlun sect, Hua Xian felt that he would never be able to hide anything that happened. But this time, Hua Xian said slightly, "Everyone, go back. If he doesn't come out within 2 days, then this life and death trial will be a failure." The 5 days limit of the 3 trials of life and death. After some time had passed, if he still did not come out, then it would count as Long Fei's loss. Moreover, if the 5 days were not over, Long Fei would have already died inside. Lu Qianhuan's heart tensed up, and he thought to himself, "There's still 2 days and 2 nights." Chapter 1286, Super Armory. Chapter 1286, Super Armory. No matter what Lu Qianhuan did, he would leave a way out for himself. This was his law of survival. From the very beginning, when he came up with this plan, he had already thought of every possible escape route. Outside the Kunlun sect, a figure landed. Immediately afterwards, a figure descended from the darkness. "Where is he? Did you bring it out?" Lu Qianhuan asked, "Where's the Xian crystal? Did you bring it?" "Ha ha! My bounty gate's bounty will definitely not be low." The Black Shadow took out a set of diamond cards and said, "There are 200 million Xian crystal in here. Once I see the rest of the Xian crystal in the 8 King Kong, I will give it to you immediately." A glint appeared in the depths of Lu Qianhuan's eyes. Greedy light. The corners of the black-clothed man's lips curled up into a sneer. "Where is he now?" Lu Qianhuan recovered his expression and said, "I didn't bring him out." As soon as he finished, the eyes of the black-clothed man darkened. His figure moved, and in an instant, he appeared in front of Lu Qianhuan. His right hand grabbed onto Lu Qianhuan's throat as he raised it up into the air and said sinisterly, "You dare to mess with me?" Lu Qianhuan was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He too was a sun-ranked peak realm, but in front of him, he felt like a mere ant and didn't even dare to resist. This feeling of being crushed was very uncomfortable. Lu Qianhuan's face paled and immediately explained, "I absolutely do not dare. I used a soul-losting powder to charm people, just that. Now that there's been an accident, I would like to ask for Sire's help." The man in black loosened his right hand and asked, "Help? For what?" Lu Qianhuan slightly said, "You are all bounty gate. As long as you have money, you can issue a bounty. I only want half of the 400 million Xian crystals bounty, and I'll also give you another piece of news worth 100 million. The black-clothed man put down Lu Qianhuan and said, "Speak." Lu Qianhuan said, "I would like to ask you to kill 2 people." "Who is it?" the man in black asked. Lu Qianhuan said, "Hua Xian Kunlunzi." Since Guei-Ro was not willing to unlock the flower bud of the 5 great Vajra of the seal, then Lu Qinhuan could only change the strategy. He had always wanted to establish his own sect. In that case, instead, it would be easier to replace him. After eliminating Hua Xin and Kunlun Zi, that huge Kunlun sect would be in his hands, and he would be the new sect master. Thinking of all these, Lu Qinhuan couldn't help but laugh out loud in his heart. Ha ha. And then there was Long Fei. The third stage was an independent secret world. This was within a mechanical secret world. The interior was like a museum displaying all sorts of mechanical arts. It could be said that the mechanical arts here were much more powerful than the science and technology from his previous life. A scout the size of an ant, a 10-meter-tall giant warrior. He brought his wings and flew to warrior. Even there were also tank-like mechanism warrior-s here. Here, it was simply a huge arsenal. Before he had entered this place again, Long Fei had never thought that the Chaos Realm would have such a place. Looking at everything in front of him, the only thing that remained in his heart was shock. This is unbelievable. This F***king, hell, yet such a powerful mechanical skill. Is this called a mechanical skill? This is an arms expert. Damn. Long Fei watched on as he walked and was extremely shocked. What exactly are Kunlun sects doing? Is he also a transcender? To be able to turn mechanical techniques into super weapons one by one, I'm afraid only a madman would be able to do that, right? However, if these super soldiers can be used by me, then bring them into the demon beast's nest, sweep them all, and it'll be as good as flying. Secret World was a huge space. It was at least the size of 100 football fields. And here, Long Fei did not discover any demon beasts. Other than the various mechanical weapons that were displayed, he did not discover anything else. After walking for a long time, Long Fei walked to the back. Suddenly, Long Fei's forehead tightened as his face secretly changed. "Kneel!" a voice heavily shouted, and at the same time, a pair of gigantic eyes opened up from the darkness above, staring straight at Long Fei. "Kneel down!" If Long Fei did not kneel to the heavens or to the earth, even the gods would not be able to make him kneel. Overbearing pressure? This was the most displeasing attack method to Long Fei. Right after he finished speaking, Long Fei shouted out, "I kneel to your 8 ancestors." The huge pair of eyes darkened, and an even denser force came crashing down. He shouted once again, "Kneel!" Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei stepped with his right foot. Boom! He jumped up and, without saying a word, swung his staff towards the darkness. "Kneel!" Buzz! Rumble! Flames flew in all directions. The gigantic force bounced off the staff, shaking Long Fei's arm until it became numb. His heart was shaken beyond belief. How powerful was the golden cudgel? It was actually just a string of flames. It didn't even cause the slightest bit of damage. Moreover, in that moment, all sorts of mechanical combat soldiers started to move. F***ck. Long Fei cursed in his heart. Looking at the enormous being in the darkness, he said in his heart, "This should be the location of the main switch of these mechanical arts. Let's kill him first." With such a huge army, even Long Fei wasn't a match for the 10 of them. If he activated all of them, Long Fei definitely wouldn't be able to escape. Whoosh! Long Fei rushed forward again. At this moment, he did not think too much as the idea began to move and linked with the golden cudgel. Ding! System prompt. Would you like to release the energy of the golden cudgel? Yes, sir. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering the second layer of golden cudgel energy. You have gained the Sun Wukong's possession for 3 seconds. Do you want to open it? Activate! Swish! An ear-piercing sound of steam burning rang, and the image of a monkey appeared on Long Fei's body. I, old son, am also here. Holding the golden cudgel. With both hands, the two ends of the golden cudgel combusted. In an instant, the great sage's power spread out and directly shattered the pressure. Then, he smashed his staff towards the pair of eyes. Rumble! Rumble! The sound was deafening. Sounds of explosions rang out in the air, as if some mechanism had been broken. However, it didn't completely die. Long Fei was secretly shocked. Even the superpower house on the Emperor list could not withstand this staff. Is this mechanical battle soldier that strong? A single staff strike won't do. Then 2 sticks. As soon as he finished, Long Fei swung the staff in his right hand. Walala! This staff directly smashed down from the head to the bottom, cracking apart layer by layer, completely unable to block it. Monkey's power was incomparably formidable. At this moment, the system sounded out. Ding! It was unknown whether he was a puppet with no expression, or if he had calculated everything beforehand, as he said with a faint smile, since you have passed the 3 trials of life and death, the fact that you are able to reach this place means that we are fated. Since that is the case, don't be like that. If you have something to say, just say it. I'm still waiting to get my reward. What Long Fei was really concerned about was what rewards the system would reward him with. Regarding the inheritance of the old man, he wasn't really interested in it. Since he had already mastered mechanical arts, what other legacies could he possibly have? The ancestor Kunlun said. I want you to pass on my mechanism techniques. I want you to help the Kunlun sect rise to power. I want you to avenge me by killing everyone in the 9 secret warrior family. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering the SSS level quest. Mission: Inheritance Mechanism Technique, Rise of the Kunlun Sect, Revenge for the 9 Secret Warrior Family Time. 10 years reward, 1 billion experience points, 10 million spirit principle, 10 million points, 5 super realm treasures, 10 ancient spiritual treasure. The world flipped and the sky turned violently once. The new Akal card X1, the special item X5. Damn. Long Fei looked at his task reward and felt like drooling it all. This. Aren't the rewards too overbearing? Even the new Akal card has come out. Was he going to make up for his past? It's still going to be 8 to 9 days. Long Fei gulped down his saliva heavily as he became excited in his heart. He had encountered SSS-level missions before. Goddess Tier, Heart of Phoenix. These 2 quests were both SSS level, and the rewards were average, but the rewards from these SSS-level quests were existences that could explode into the sky. No way, no way. How could he not accept such a mission? Accept. Long Fei muttered in his heart. And then Long Fei looked at Ancestor Kunlun and said, All right, I agree. Ancestor Kunlun laughed excitedly. I knew you would agree to it. Otherwise, you would never be able to leave this place in your life. Huh. Damn, aren't you being too sinister? Long Fei muttered and said, Then aren't you afraid that I'll agree to work for you? Ancestor Kunlun replied, I'm not worried about that at all. From the moment you entered the Kunlun Mountains, I knew that you would come before me. This is a mysterious arrangement, and you will definitely help me. You noticed me when I was still in Kunlun Mountains. Long Fei was extremely shocked in his heart. If he had entered the Kunlun sect and noticed, Long Fei would not be this shocked because the Kunlun sect itself was a huge mechanical skill. But Kunlun Mountains, not to mention a dead person, even the super powerhouse on the Heavenly Emperor board would not be able to sense the aura of a person that was millions of kilometers away. This was too terrifying. Ancestor Kunlun laughed blandly. There are always some people standing in front of you in every corner of Kunlun Mountains, so I could immediately sense your presence. Now, there are many powerhouse-s in Kunlun Mountains. He's probably here for you. This is a crisis for the Kunlun sect, a crisis that no one can withstand. Moreover, your people are in trouble now. Everything was under his control. Hearing that, Long Fei's face suddenly changed, and he shouted, "What did you say? Something happened to 8 King Kong?" Instantly, Long Fei didn't even think, as he immediately said, "Let me out! Hurry up and let me out!" He started to worry. Moreover, a lot of powerhouses have appeared. What did that mean? Kunlun Z had once said that even the superpowers like Hell Gate, Bounty Gate, and Thousand Alliance sect would need a lot of time to find Kunlun sect. How did you suddenly find me here? Long Fei did not know that Kunlun Z had swallowed a life essence. The red light filled the entire sky, and everyone in Chaos Realm saw it. Even the Sovereign of Fate was enraged. With this red light as a guide, there were naturally many powerhouses that could accurately pinpoint the location of the Kunlun sect. This was something Kunlun Z did not expect. The ancestor Kunlun calmly replied, "Don't worry, your brother is just unconscious and is not in any danger to his life right now. However, there is a little puppet girl who is in danger." Guero. Long Fei was shocked and said again, "Hurry up and let me out. Hurry and let me out." Ancestor Kunlun said, "Little guy, do anything in haste. What you need to do now is to remember every word I say." Long Fei said angrily, "If you have anything to fart, hurry up and let me out. I won't be in a hurry." The combined rewards of Long Fei and the 8 King Kong had reached 500 million. Who wouldn't want it? Other than these people, there was another group of people. These people were even more powerful and mysterious. They had come here for the life essence because they wanted to know whether Kunlun Z was dead or alive. They wanted to know where Kunlun Z's life essence had come from. The entire hall was silent. Hua Xian shouted, "Which one of you leaked the news of Long Fei entering the Kunlun sect?" There was still silence in the hall. No one dared to speak. All of the elders lowered their heads. At this time, an elder said softly, "Sect Master, the most important thing to do is not to investigate this matter. Powerhouse is besieging Kunlun sect. We must hand Long Fei and the others over so that we can protect Kunlun sect." "You're right. We don't need to take responsibility for what Long Fei did for them. What Youth Master of Hellgate, what 8 King Kong, let them take care of it themselves." Exactly. Besides, Long Fei has already died in the 3 trials of life and death, so wouldn't we be able to get the bounty as well? All of the clan elders were in danger. They could not wait to hand Long Fei and the rest over. If possible, they would hand over Long Fei's corpse if they could find him, as they did not want to offend these huge powers. Amongst the disciples that had entered the Kunlun sect, there were many elders who had escaped the war and the pursuit of death to enter this paradise. However, when the matter came to them, they still wanted to protect themselves. Hualin said, "Many of you also entered the Kunlun sect like this. Why can't you help Long Fei and the others?" He said a few words about the pain of a lot of people. An elder said coldly, "Hualin, even though you are the sect master's son, you are not an elder yet. You do not have the qualifications to speak here." Exactly. It's fine if you usually mess around, but you still dare to act rashly at a time like this. Do you really think you're the young sect master? The few elders whispered. Hualin was unhappy in his heart, no matter what those people said about him. He still said solemnly, after entering Kunlun's sect, "As long as their people are still there, we will have to protect them. This is my ancestors' teachings, just like when your enemies came to the Kunlun sect to protect you." How dare you? Hualin, could the situation back then be compared with what we have now? It's now a matter of life and death for the Kunlun sect. Do you want to see the 1,000 disciples of the Kunlun sect following Long Fei and going to their deaths? An elder said in a heavy tone. And then the few elders immediately agreed. Chapter 1289, Great Perfection. Chapter 1289, Great Perfection. Father, something has happened. Hualin ran to Huaxian's courtyard. The 8 King Kong and the rest are under Elder Lu's control. Huaxian was shocked. What's going on? Hualin said, I passed by their courtyard and realized that Elder Lu had sent people to guard the entrance, but with great Vajra, Li Yuanba's personality, he might not be able to stop him. What actually happened? Soul Losting Powder. Huaxian's expression suddenly changed and said, Something's about to happen. Hualin, immediately bring your men and rush to the entrance of the Kunlun sect. You must guard the entrance of the Kunlun sect. As long as you guard the entrance, it won't be that easy for outsiders to enter. Huaxian immediately said, then took out his sect master's badge and said worriedly, Bring my order badge over. Hualin did not hesitate and accepted the order badge and went to find someone. Huaxian did not linger and immediately rushed to the place where Kunlun Zi was undergoing closed-doors cultivation. However, Lu Qianhuan was even faster than Huaxian. Halfway there, Lu Qianhuan and a few elders blocked Huaxian's path. Huaxian's brows tightened and shouted, Lu Qianhuan, it's really you. The crime of colluding with an outsider is to be punished. Humph, Lu Qianhuan sneered and said, Huaxian, I'm colluding with outsiders? I think it's you colluding with an outsider, right? If you did not make Long Fei stay, would Kunlun sect still need to go this far? Should I be executed? Humph, today I will punish you, Huaxian. While they were talking, Lu Qianhuan took a step forward, and the few elders behind him also had a fierce look in their eyes. Since they had already reached this step, they no longer had any choice but to follow Lu Qianhuan. Huaxian's brows sunk, the battle intent on his body ignited, and he said, You think you can kill me with just your few people? I advise all of you to turn around and go back to the shore. I will let bygones be bygones. If you dare to do anything to me, it will be offending you from the bottom of your heart. This is a serious crime. Lu Qianhuan yelled, Cut the crap. If you don't die, the Kunlun sect will be destroyed. For Kunlun sect, you should just die. While they were talking, Lu Qianhuan took a step forward, and the power of a peak sun realm surged violently. With a move, he attacked Huaxian, and with a shake of his sleeve, a wave of smoke scattered out. Huaxian's eyes turned sinister as he held his breath. Bam! Heavily smashing onto Lu Qianhuan's chest, without waiting for Lu Qianhuan to stabilize himself, his hands turned into palms and smashed towards chest. Mountain-splitting palm. Rumble. Puff. Lu Qianhuan was not a match for Huaxian at all. His chest was in intense pain, and he spat out a mouthful of blood in the air. Go for it. The few elders were stunned for a moment before a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. Huaxian shouted, Let me see who dares. Lu Qianhuan said, Huaxian, today you're going to die. The elders' eyebrows twitched, glancing at each other. They all rushed forward. They attacked together. Huaxian's heart was in pain. He did not show any mercy and quickly made his move. With his cultivation, he could completely suppress these elders and make a few consecutive explosions. The 4 elders were all sent flying. His face was pale. Huaxian shouted coldly, Lu Qianhuan, I originally left you here in the Kunlun sect, but today you are acting like this. Quickly hand over the antidote for the soul-losting powder. Lu Qianhuan laughed. Ha ha ha. It seems like you already know that 8 King Kong is in my hands, and you want the antidote? Then your life will be exchanged for mine. Hua Xian stared at Lu Qianhuan as he rushed forward, his palm striking towards chest, and said, "Use your life in exchange." Lu Qianhuan's face darkened. He was so scared that his back turned cold, and he shouted anxiously, "Master, save me!" As soon as he finished, "Tsk tisk." A burst of strange laughter sounded out. Next, Hua Xian's face changed. A strong pressure struck his heart, and he shouted, "Who is it?" In front of the flint. Without waiting for Hua Xian to react, a black shadow descended and a white light flashed. Fast. It was shockingly fast. Hua Xian simply did not have time to react. When he felt the black figure's location, he had already felt the cold slowly spreading from his mind, and the liquid at his neck had flowed down. Hua Xian's body trembled slightly. Lu Qianhuan crawled up from the ground, went forward and kicked Hua Xian, and kicked him down to the ground. He stomped on him and laughed complacently. "Who's going to die? You want to kill me? You think you're worthy? Ha ha ha." Black blood gushed out of Hua Xian's mouth as he glared at Lu Qianhuan. You killed Bounty Gate. You." Lu Qianhuan laughed complacently. "Hua Xian, you should feel honored because I used 100 million Xian crystal to kill you. Now go and die." Lu Qianhuan chopped down with his palm. Boom. Hua Xian's plan broke, and his body became stiff. Lu Qianhuan looked at the black silhouette in the distance and said, "Thank you, sir, for your help." The man in black said lightly, "The responsibility lies with the money." "Lu Qianhuan, I want to see 8 King Kong's corpse tomorrow morning. Otherwise, you will die too." The man in black said coldly. Lu Qianhuan felt goosebumps all over his heart, and a chill ran down his spine. He immediately replied, "Rest assured, my lord, I'll definitely capture you." And then the man in black disappeared. "Elder Lu." "You're still called Elder Lu." "He should be called Sect Master now." "Huh. Yes, Sovereign." "Lord Sect Master, what should we do now?" Lu Qianhuan laughed complacently. He was satisfied with the 2 words Sect Master and said, "That old thing Kunlunzi is in closed-door cultivation. He doesn't know anything, and there's no need to bother with him, for now. The one being dealt with now is Hualin, and the Kunlun sect is not convinced by me. I want to purge the Kunlun sect. Those who go with the flow, and those who go against me will die." Lu Qianhuan was in high spirits and laughed. With the help of Bounty Gate, he was fearless in Kunlun sect. "Send out all of your disciples for tonight's purge. After tomorrow, we will be the controllers of the Kunlun sect. Within the mechanism dimension. Ding! Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for leveling up." The inheritance of the ancestor Kunlun continued. Every time Long Fei leveled up, his understanding of mechanism techniques would increase by a level, and the blueprints of the super soldier organs in his mind would become clearer and clearer. Half an hour later. Ding! Congratulations to player, Long Fei, for leveling up. I'm just a single level away from being a paragon of the 10th rank. Hurry up, hurry up. Long Fei could not wait. He wanted to get out quickly. What was the situation outside? Ding! Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for training in mechanical arts to level up. Ding! 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 A string of system beeps flew out. Chapter 1290, Super Reward, Magmatic Fruit. Chapter 1290, Super Reward, Magmatic Fruit. When Long Fei was receiving the entire inheritance of the ancestor Kunlun's mechanical arts. His mechanical arts had reached the peak of the 10th rank. Moreover, at this moment, the system beep exploded consecutively. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for reaching the perfection stage with auxiliary method mechanical arts. The reward is 100,000 experience points, 10,000 holy source points, and 10,000 points. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the ancestor Kunlun's legacy and controlling the Kunlun sex mechanism techniques. The two notifications disappeared. The ancestor Kunlun gave his all to Long Fei. At this time, his body became extremely weak, and he passed the mechanical heart in his hand to Long Fei, saying, "This is a mechanical heart, and it is also the core of the mechanism technique. With it, you can control any mechanism or weapon in the Kunlun sect as you wish. I relied on it to build my Kunlun sect step by step and became the #1 great master of the organ. It hides too much power, too many secrets. It's just like how it came from another technology world. If you can unleash all of its power wouldn't be weaker than the main artifact, scatter seeds, which become solidars, or even all of the plants and trees in the world. This is something that it can do," Ancestor Kunlun said somewhat excitedly, feeling somewhat regretful. When Long Fei received the mechanical heart, his heart was also secretly shocked. Is a thing formed from a small piece of gear that's that powerful, is actually comparable to a main artifact? Item: mechanical heart grade. Unknown. Description: currently able to control all of Kunlun sect's mechanical arts. Description 2: able to advance. The requirement to advance is to break through the shackles of rank 10 mechanical arts. The system did not give him much description, nor did it say how powerful it was. If he wanted to know its power, he would have to advance. Long Fei kept the mechanical heart well, regardless of whether it would become stronger in the future. At least now it was very strong. Just now, all the mechanical combat soldiers in the space of the super military armory could be controlled. Just these were extremely powerful existences. And then the ancestor Kunlun continued. This time, the danger in Kunlun sect is unusual. Many of the powerhouses have come. Even the powerhouse on the Heavenly Emperor ranking have come. I'm afraid we won't be able to avoid this crisis. So, little guy, you need to hear this clearly. Kunlun sect is a huge mechanism that can destroy everything. Remember what I said. The Kunlun Forbidden Area. The voice of the ancestor Kunlun grew weaker and weaker, and in the end, his body slowly withered as one last voice resounded in the air. "Little fellow, you must avenge me. We'll talk to them after we take over all of the Kunlun sect." "Yes, sir." "Sect Master, what should we do with the 8 King Kong? Would that woman like to untie that huge bud?" the elder asked. Lu Qianhuan's expression changed slightly as he said, "This bitch, no matter how much you torture her, you still won't be able to loosen up that line of defense. But it doesn't matter. Bounty Gate wants corpses. When we take over Kunlun sect, we will bring that powerhouse over there. What we can do is his business." As long as they could receive all the Kunlun sects, none of the problems would be a problem for Lu Qianhuan. In the secret room. Drip, drip. Yuanba, wake up, wake up. After being unconscious for 2 days, the heavenly spirit was the first to wake up. "Fatty, wake up, wake up." He called out a few times. Li Yuanba suddenly raised his head, took a deep breath in, and roared in anger, "Lu Qianhuan, your grandmother." "Buzz." Li Yuanba's eyes flashed with red light, as though he had been possessed. Its entire body was covered in runes. The blood veins of the Titan god crazily attacked the restraints formed by the soul-losting powder in his body, and broke them bit by bit. Finally, rumble! An explosive sound came from Li Yuanba's body. The binding power of the soul-losting powder completely collapsed. Li Yuanba used all his strength in both his arms, causing all the chains on his body to break. Li Yuanba had activated the inactivated power in his body, Huolin's killing intent sword, and he said, "All of you go to the courtyard and wake the great clan elder. I will stop them." Ah! Huolin roared in rage. The blood vein S of the ancient spirit serpent had been activated, his body releasing a very threatening chi. Both of his hands moved as though 10,000 spirit snakes had just left their lairs. "Go quickly," Huolin roared out, and then rushed into the group of people. Now, all of his hopes were placed on the Grand Elder. Only when he woke up would he be able to suppress Lu Qianhuan and calm this internal conflict. The dozen or so disciples rushed into the yard without hesitation. It was just that. At this moment, a black shadow descended, and every time a disciple entered, they would collapse and be instantly killed. All of the disciples died at the entrance of the yard within 10 seconds. Lu Qianhuan laughed out loud. "Ha ha ha. Huolin, you want to place your hopes on Kunlunzi? Stop dreaming. Ha ha ha." Seeing his own brother die in front of him, Huolin almost went crazy. Seeing Huolin going crazy, Lu Qianhuan became even more pleased. He was incomparably happy. At this moment, the sky had already brightened. Lu Qianhuan shouted and said, "Capture Huolin for me. He's Kunlunzi's favorite disciple. I want to see what Huolin feels like when he dies in front of him." Ha ha ha. Huolin lost his mind. His fighting strength plummeted. In a few minutes, he was under control. At this moment, there was only one thing remaining until Lu Qianhuan took control of the Kunlun sect. "Kunlunzi," the black-clothed man coldly reminded him. "Lu Qianhuan, there's just a bit of time left." Lu Qianhuan said confidently, "Master, don't worry. After we take care of Kunlunzi, I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer." "All right." The black-clothed man walked into the courtyard. At this time, Lu Qianhuan and the other disciples also walked into the courtyard, cultivating in seclusion, entering into a world of selflessness. He was looking for a point where he could break through his limits. In this state, even if the outside world were to collapse, they wouldn't know, because Kunlunzi was too anxious to know the power brought by the life essence. He went into seclusion to cultivate without thinking too much. Suddenly, boom! With a loud bang, the door was shattered by a powerful force. Lu Qianhuan sneered, "Kunlunzi, you old thing, come out and die." At this time, Lu Qianhuan no longer had any respect for the sect master. He was only ecstatic because he was about to become the new sect master. This was something he had dreamed of for his entire life. As soon as his voice faded, a loud sound came from the depths of the room. "How dare a Scrooge act so impudently in front of me?" Before he could finish his words, a figure rushed out. Boom! The speed of lightning was incomparably fast. Lu Qianhuan could not react at all, and could only shout out, "Master, save me!" Chapter 1292. You want to leave after acting cool? Chapter 1292. You want to leave after acting cool? Rumble! Rumble! The battle at Powerhouse was like a battle between deities. Lu Qianhuan and the others could not understand what he meant, and even their figures could not be seen clearly. Some people were able to see it very clearly. Boom! After the 11th exchange of palms, the black-clothed Powerhouse spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His face was incomparably pale as he said in a heavy voice, "Impossible, absolutely impossible." His strength was ranked 5th among the Powerhouses. But his strength was actually not that of an opponent. How much has Kunlunzi's cultivation increased? What's impossible? Seems like not only can life essence bring you 100 years of lifespan, it can also bring you a strong power. This life essence is really powerful. The voices came from all directions. A purple-robed old man slowly descended. Purple robe. Kunlun's gaze darkened. The black-clothed powerhouse immediately retreated to the side and said respectfully, "Sir." Lu Qianhuan's heart trembled even more. An even stronger powerhouse actually came? If that's the case, then Kunlun sect master will definitely sit down. There were also rankings for hunters in the bounty gate. Purple robe was a powerhouse on the Son of God ranking. This level, the purple-robed elder laughed blandly. "Tell me who refined the life essence, and you can spare death today." His eyes were filled with contempt. Lu Qianhuan's heart tensed up and said, "Master, we cannot let him go." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Purple Elder looked over, and Lu Qianhuan knelt on the ground with a thump. His entire body was trembling, and his face was as white as paper. A single glance could crush him. The Purple Elder did not care about Lu Qianhuan and looked at him. "Speak, who refined the life essence?" Kunlunzi remained on full alert and said, "Do you think I would say that?" "Don't say it." Purple Elder laughed coldly. "I believe you will say that because if you don't say anything, you will die." Before he could finish, Purple Elder suddenly made a move. Purple shadows filled the sky. Bam! Kunlunzi was almost unable to react in time. His chest was splitting apart, and he spat out a mouthful of black blood. The steps collapsed, and the stones were like cotton. Without waiting for Kunlunzi to stand up, Purple Elder moved his body and stood in front of him. He sneered condescendingly and said, "Speak." Kunlunzi's gaze tensed up. Without waiting for him to speak, Purple Elder's power moved once again. He grabbed Kunlunzi's head and lifted it up from the ground, then leapt up heavily and smashed it onto the ground. Boom! With a jolt, the ground split apart. It created a huge crater in the ground. Kunlunzi lay in the deep pit on his last breath. Swallowing a life essence's power did indeed increase, but no matter how much he improved, he would never be a match for the Son of God ranking powerhouse, an existence that had been completely killed. Purple Elder chuckled. "Can you say it now?" Shock. Everyone in the surroundings looked at the purple-robed elder as if they were looking at a god. Lu Qianhuan's heart trembled. In front of him, she wasn't even an ant. She was too strong. Is he even F*** king human? Hualin shouted loudly. "Great master." Kunlunzi revealed his bloody teeth and said, "Do you think I would say that?" Purple Elder's face did not contain the slightest bit of anger, and he said, "You have just received your 100 years of lifespan. Dying like this is truly a pity." Still don't want to tell? Purple Elder opened his right hand and made a grasping motion in the air. Boom! Hualin was directly grabbed in the palm of his hand and said, "Still not saying?" Hualin was not able to muster up any strength from Purple Elder's attack and was completely crushed. He shouted loudly, "Kill me, kill me!" Kunlunzi's face tightened and said, "Are all bounty gates people so despicable?" Purple Elder laughed and said, "I can do other things that are not despicable, but regarding the matter of living for 100 years, I have no choice. Speak, who refined the life essence? You are the first person to consume a life essence. You must know this." Purple Elder did not go to Xiaoyao Business Alliance. He reckoned that Kunlunzi knew who refined the life essence, so he immediately came here. Kunlunzi looked at Hualin and said, "I don't know. You're courting death." The purple-robed old man was angered, and the power in his hand moved. At this moment, rumble! Suddenly, a huge magma fist appeared in the sky as it came crashing down. Its strength was akin to a meteorite falling from the sky as it brought along a long trail of flames. The purple-robed elder was shocked. He leaped up. "I'm coming out." In the magma, a figure jumped out and the golden cudgel in his hand smashed down with a heavy staff the moment the purple-robed elder moved. The Samisen true fire moved. Rumble! A loud explosion resounded. The purple-robed elder's face darkened, and he suddenly loosened his grip on Huolin. If he did not, his arm would have been broken by Long Fei with a swing of his staff. Boom! Boom! Two loud bangs sounded in quick succession. The purple-robed elder bounced off as Long Fei landed heavily on the ground. Lu Qianhuan's, Huolin's, and the other disciples' faces all revealed incomparable shock. The 3 trials of life and death had actually been passed. Moreover, he wanted to compare to 5 days ago, when Long Fei's strength and cultivation level increased by a level. No, impossible. Absolutely impossible. Lu Qianhuan said with a trembling voice, "No one can pass the 3 trials of life and death. Even Kunlunzi cannot. You cannot pass the 3 trials of life and death." Long Fei ignored him and helped Kunlunzi and Huolin up, asking, "What happened? Who touched my brother?" "Who?" Huolin looked at Lu Qianhuan and said, "He used the soul-losting powder." "Soul-losting powder? You're courting death." Long Fei practically did not stop at all. With a single step he charged out, filled with incomparable rage. At this moment, Lu Qianhuan was scared to the point of peeing. He shouted loudly, "Master, save me!" The purple-robed old man was very unhappy that he was forced to retreat by Long Fei. Seeing Long Fei rush towards him, his body moved and threw out a punch. Boom! Long Fei moved. Magmatic fruit, open. And then lava dripped from Long Fei's fist as he glared at Purple Elder with an incomparably arrogant and cold snort, then said, "Scram to the side of this old man." Bam! The purple-robed old man's fist smashed onto Long Fei's body, but it was just that. In that instant, Long Fei did not even move. The place where he was hit turned into magma slowly. The purple-robed elder's face changed, and his body shot out. It was too shocking. But in this instant, Long Fei bellowed, "You want to leave after acting tough? Do you agree?" Chapter 1293, Powerhouse of Son of God Ranking. Chapter 1293, Powerhouse of Son of God Ranking. You want to leave? Leave your dog life behind. Long Fei was furious. His hands ignited into lava as he grabbed onto the purple-robed elder's arm. He said sinisterly, "I told you to scram." Boom! The instant he grabbed a hold of the violet-robed old man, the flames began to burn. The destructive power of the magmatic fruit burst out. Ah! The purple-robed elder let out a blood-curdling screech. However, his eyes widened as he stared at the face that was slowly turning to lava. He shouted, "Wood blossoming flower! Heavenly wood technique!" His body became a blur and left his body. He then leaped through the air 100 meters away. It was also at this time that the body of the purple-robed elder quickly turned into a block of wood. The moment the shadow landed, the solid body quickly solidified, and he regained the appearance of a real face within half a breath of time. Heavenly wood blood vein. Long Fei was shocked. The purple-robed elder said coldly, "Yes. No matter how high your attack is, it's useless. You can't kill me at all. I have the power to move a flower to meet a tree. You'll only be able to kill my fake body." In Chaos Realm, the blood vein was the king. All sorts of powerful blood veins were unimaginable. What the purple-robed elder had right now was an extremely rare wood attribute blood vein. And amongst the wood attribute blood vein, this kind of heavenly wood blood vein was even more so a peak realm. Long Fei smirked and said coldly, "I can't kill you? Then come again." As soon as he finished, Long Fei's footsteps sunk as he fiercely flew out. Magma dripped down from the sky, and every drop created a series of burn sounds. The purple-robed elder's gaze grew sinister as he coldly snorted and said, "You ignorant fool, do you really think this old man is afraid of you?" Boom! The moment he moved, the wind howled. The purple-robed old man dispersed his power into the sky, heavily crushing down. Pressure attack. Incomparable savagery. The purple-robed elder's level was much higher than Long Fei's. The pressure of the strong difference in level was something Long Fei, who was at the third level of the Sun Realm, could not withstand. His body sank. He fell from the sky and spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Qianhuan immediately laughed complacently. "Ha ha ha! Little bastard, you dare challenge the bounty gate? Call him that again, no matter how arrogant he is. You're courting death, ha ha ha!" Kunlunzi was heavily injured, and once Long Fei died, no one would be able to stop him anymore. Moreover, Long Fei died in Kunlun's sect, so according to the rules of the bounty gate, he could get half of Long Fei's 100 million bounty, which was only 50 million Xian crystal. Thinking of this, Lu Qianhuan couldn't help but become excited. The black-clothed powerhouse also revealed a faint smile and said disdainfully, "Bounty Gate's Purple Elder has never been defeated before. Even if you possess an extremely strong offensive strength, just the pressure itself is something that you can't withstand. Brat, prepare to die. Ha ha ha. Let's see how you continue to act so arrogantly." A few of the elders of the Kunlun sect started clamoring. They looked like they were trying to curry favor and wanted to kneel down and lick the purple elder. Boom, boom, boom. Waves of pressure pressed down. The lava on Long Fei's body became less and less, and even the magmatic fruit was suppressed back. Long Fei's face revealed pain. The purple-robed elder said with disdain, "Kid, you are arrogant again? You are not even an ant in front of me." The purple-robed elder heaved a sigh of relief. He had just been frightened by Long Fei's sudden cultivation technique. Now, there was no need to worry at all. Long Fei's level was too low. How could he be a match for someone who couldn't even enter the Emperor list? The purple-robed elder was growing increasingly proud of himself. He had also pulled a lot closer to Long Fei. Long Fei's face was in pain as he continuously calculated the distance in his mind. Just a little more, just a little more. Kunlunzi anxiously replied, "Long Fei?" Hualin also shouted loudly, "Long Fei!" The two of them rushed out at the same time, disregarding everything else, because Long Fei had passed the 3 trials of life and death and was the strongest person in Kunlun's sect. At this moment, the purple-robed elder laughed coldly and said, "You two are useless for overestimating yourselves. Kneel." He took a few more steps forward, and it was just these few steps away from Long Fei that the expression in his eyes abruptly changed. With a wave of his left hand, he maliciously sneered, "Emperor Fire Blue Lotus." Buzz. A blue-colored flame that was like a blossoming lotus flower began to burn on Long Fei's left hand. Boom. Pressure, break, rumble. The monarch fire blue lotus exploded outwards, crazily burning as the pressure that was crushing down on Long Fei's body combusted. A big hole appeared, and at this time, Long Fei took a step forward and said with a cold smile, "Do you think I'm really afraid of you? Do you think your pressure can do anything to me? I said if you die, you die." Boom. The magmatic fruit on Long Fei's body shot into the sky, and the lava in the sky came crashing down like a comet. It covered the sky and the ground, completely not giving the purple-robed elder any place to dodge. The purple-robed elder was shocked. With a loud shout in his heart, he said, "Heavenly spirit flower, heavenly with technique. Humph, you still want to use this move." Long Fei's body leaned back, and before the purple-robed elder could escape from his body, he threw out a punch. Paralyzed ring. Open. Ding. System notification. Activating paralysis effect. No matter how powerful you are, as long as you are paralyzed, then don't even think about moving your body. The purple-robed elder was just a powerhouse on a Son of God ranking. His body was paralyzed, the strength of the blood vein, the strength of his cultivation was being suppressed by the seal. He couldn't use it at all. Just for a moment. Long Fei's hands moved and smashed outwards. He roared out with a heavy tone, "Magma fist!" Boom, boom. 2 fists pierced through the body of the purple-robed elder. The purple-robed elder recovered from the shock, and blood spurted out of his mouth. Without waiting for him to react, the magma that Long Fei had sent into the purple-robed elder's body quickly solidified and locked his body up. What do you want to do? Release, quickly release. The purple-robed old man was tightly imprisoned within his body. Long Fei grinned and said, "Release them? How can that be? I haven't told you to explode yet. Magma meteor. Boom." Magma filled the sky and bombarded the body of the purple-robed elder again and again. Boom. 129,382, 293,212, 122,3843. A string of damage surged, and each time was a critical strike. The amount of blood on the purple-robed elder's head quickly bottomed out, and in a few seconds he was completely deformed. His entire body was covered in magma, moving flowers to make new trees. What the F***CK? So what if you're a Son of God rankings powerhouse? It's not like we've never killed this old man before. Long Fei's forehead turned sinister. He shouted out, "Explode for me!" A huge lava rock descended. It was incomparably ferocious. War pet, sky-swallowing rat, young, grade, Saint Emperor level. 1 description. Sky-swallowing rats are bred from devouring vein. They possess an incomparably strong devouring force. Description 2. Once raised, it cannot be abandoned. Every day, it requires a large amount of energy to maintain its existence. The moment a sky-swallowing rat dies, it will have a huge impact on the host and devour the devourer's vein that the host possesses. Description 3. Mysterious great technique. The higher the level of the technique, the greater the range. Description 4. Possesses the power to devour the heavens at the maximum level. Mystical move. This. Long Fei's mind trembled and thought of Xiaobai with lingering fear. His trauma towards the 2 words, big move, was simply too much. Could it be shitting again? It shouldn't be. This is a Saint Emperor war pet. If it's SH*T and it's farting, then it's really too shameful. And then, when Long Fei saw that the full strength of heaven-swallowing art was used on him, his mind shook. Heaven-swallowing art. He. Damn it, don't you like targeting me? Aren't you always trying to crush Lousy? Wait. As for feeding the devouring force as described in description 2, this was not a problem at all. As long as it exploded, he would be able to get anything he wanted. Buzz. The sky-swallowing rat entered the war pet space. It was very small and only the size of a fist. It was much bigger than a newborn mouse, but its fist was so small that it was impossible to tell that it was a Saint Emperor war pet. However, from the moment the sky-swallowing rat entered the war pet space, the fire unicorn became restless and restless. It originally owned a huge space by itself, but now he curled up in a corner and trembled, not daring to make the slightest movement. It had to be known that the sky-swallowing rat was only a young cub, and its body was curled up in a deep slumber. The fire unicorn is a saint-rank beast. After all, scared like this. Isn't this sky-swallowing rat too terrifying? Ha ha! Long Fei laughed excitedly in his heart. Sky-swallowing rat, an existence that destroys the heavens, ancient holy battlefield, main temple, you mother of asteriskers, all wait for lousy. At this moment, plop, one of the elders knelt down on the ground and kowtowed. Master Longfei, I was wrong. It was Lu Qianhuan who ordered us to do it. It was all him. Everyone looked over and suddenly realized that Lu Qianhuan and Bounty Gate's black-clothed powerhouse had quietly slipped away while Long Fei was researching the sky-swallowing rat. Huolin and Kunlunzi were still shocked from the death of their purple elder, so they did not notice the two of them escaping. Long Fei was also shocked by the appearance of the sky-swallowing rat. He came back to his senses and was stunned. He then laughed coldly. Let you go? All the elders and disciples kneeled on the ground and said, it was all done by Lu Qianhuan. He was the one who used the soul-losting powder to poison your brother, and he was the one who colluded with the Bounty Gate to kill. It was also he who caused us to rebel and control the Kunlun sect, kill the sect master of the Hua Xian, and control the entrance of the Kunlun sect. Let you live? Why didn't you guys say that you would leave them a chance of survival when Kunlunzi was being trampled on? When Huolin was surrounded and killed by you guys, why didn't you tell him to leave? When I was being suppressed by the pressure of the purple-robed elder, you all had wild smiles on your faces. At that time, why didn't you all say that you would spare my life? Now you want me to let you go? Do you think you're worthy of this? Long Fei said one word at a time, and coldly said, I said you are not worthy. As soon as he finished, Long Fei suddenly unleashed his attack as his entire body burned with flames. Along with his figure, a strong force swept out, instantly killing all the elders and disciples. Ding, 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 the system beep went berserk. Long Fei had no reason to let these people go. All must die. At this time, Kunlunzi walked forward and said, Lu Qianhuan, and that Bounty Gate escaped, I'm afraid. Crap. Huolin was shocked and said, Long Fei, Lu Qianhuan has sent people to control the main gate of the Kunlun sect. If they were to escape, the main gate of the Kunlun sect will definitely open. If that happens, the consequences would be unimaginable. The main gate of the Kunlun sect. Long Fei's heart trembled. He could control this door. He was just about to speak. Huolin continued, Kunlun sect is completely relying on this mechanism door to protect it. It's like a protective formation for the mountain. At this time, a large number of powerhouses are gathered outside of the Kunlun sect's gate. Huh. What did you say? Long Fei retracted his train of thought, his eyes releasing a gold light. A large number of powerhouse. Huolin was stunned. He did not understand Long Fei's true power. Long Fei became excited. I knew it! I knew it! The purple-robed man is not the only boss. There are a lot of powerhouse, a lot of bosses, a lot of experience. I'm going to go crazy. Chapter 12, 95 Associations. Chapter 12, 95 Associations, the things that Long Fei's mind was thinking were never the same as others. Others fear danger, but he was excited. Huolin did not understand. Kunlunzi, who was at the side, was also confused. He did not understand Long Fei. Originally, Long Fei could control the mechanism door of the Kunlun sect. If he could control it, no one would be able to open it. However, when he thought about the large group of bosses outside the door, he went crazy. All of you, come in. This time it's going to be big. And then Kunlunzi said, Long Fei, isn't this too dangerous? Danger? Don't worry, I'm here. Long Fei smiled confidently and thought to himself, if it was in the past, perhaps I would still be worried, but now there is no need to worry at all. Long Fei's idea landed on top of the mechanical heart, and the corner of his mouth slightly hooked up. As long as there were mechanical battle soldiers that could control the armory, there was no need to be afraid of how many of them would come. Long Fei was only a little afraid now. Too few people had come. No matter how many people there were, they would still defeat him. This was definitely the moment of an explosive upgrade. At the same time, Long Fei thought of his brother and immediately said, "Huilin, go gather the brothers. We will meet at the Karakoram Hall later." If he wanted to become famous, he had to fight. If he was able to block this attack, then he would be able to become famous. This was the first step of Ancestor Kunlun's SSS grade mission, the rise of Kunlun sect. Huilin's heart was also burning with fighting spirit. His father had been killed, the ferocious beast powerhouse in black clothes had escaped, and Lu Qinhuan couldn't help but say in a heavy tone, "I'll go prepare right now." Huilin quickly left. Kunlunzi asked, "Long Fei, what did you see in the third of the 3 trials of life and death?" Long Fei didn't hide his intentions as he took out the mechanical heart and said, "I saw Ancestor Kunlun. I saw this thing." The moment the mechanical heart was taken out, Kunlunzi's face changed. He instantly knelt on the ground and said respectfully, "We greet the ancestor. We greet the sect master." Long Fei's face was full of shock and quickly went forward to help Kunlunzi. At this moment, the system beeped. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for becoming sect master of Kunlun sect, for obtaining 100,000 experience points, 100,000 holy source, and 100,000 special points. Ding! System notification. Will you form an alliance with the Kunlun sect? Long Fei's identity was accepted by the system as the sect master of the gods' martial sect. This was the Kunlun sect's sacred artifact, and whoever obtained it would become the Kunlun sect's sect leader. It was because of Kunlunzi's act of kneeling down and triggering the mission. Long Fei became the sect master of the Kunlun sect. Sect alliance. An alliance. The idea moved in Long Fei's heart. It was also at this time that the gods' martial sect's imprint and the Kunlun sect's imprint combined together, forming an alliance. Ding! God's martial sect and Kunlun sect have formed an alliance. Player Long Fei has received a level +1 reward. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently level 4. This is great. It leveled up in an instant. The moment he made an alliance with the Kunlun sect, the system leveled up once again. Ding! Congratulations to God's martial sect for leveling up. The current guild level, 3. The gods' martial sect has also leveled up. Long Fei's heart skipped a beat, and he immediately checked the gods' martial sect's attributes. Disciple number will increase to 1,000 people. Society experience will increase by 1%. None of this is the point. What Long Fei wanted the most right now was to help the gang teleport. He wanted to teleport all the people in the gods' martial continent to the chaos realm. However, the guild level has yet to activate the transfer function. You need to be level 10 to activate the teleportation ability. After this is done, you have to solve this problem as soon as possible. Long Fei's heart was slightly moved. At the same time, he helped Kunlunzi up. Since the system had determined that he was the sect master of the Kunlun sect, Long Fei did not refuse anymore. He said, "Since the ancestor Kunlun wants me to lead the Kunlun sect into a rise, I must show the might of the Kunlun sect in this battle." Kunlunzi's blood also started to boil as he asked, "Sect master, what do you want me to do?" Long Fei said, "I'm afraid that Lu Qianhuan has already escaped from Kunlun's sect by this time. When the door opens, a large group of people will definitely be entering the Kunlun sect. You are injured right now. I want you to quickly recover. This is a God Disappear powder. I want you to bring your strength to its peak state." This was the God Disappear powder that the Azure Dragon had returned to Long Fei. Long Fei was not stingy at all and directly gave it to Kunlun-zi. The Kunlun sect did not hesitate as he took the pill and returned to the secret room. Long Fei did not stay and quickly rushed to the courtyard the 8 King Kong was in. When he reached the courtyard, he noticed that there was a flower bud condensed from a huge chunk of thick soil in the courtyard. His heart trembled slightly. At this moment, Huolin supported Gui Rou and walked into the courtyard. The heavenly spirit and fat men Chen also walked into the courtyard exhausted. When they saw Long Fei, they immediately said, "Boss, Yuan Ba is gone." Long Fei looked at Gui Rou's body that was covered in wounds. He clenched his fists tightly and asked, "Who beat you to such a state?" Huolin said, "I found them in Lu Qianhuan's secret room." Lu Qianhuan. Long Fei gnashed his teeth. The anger on his body ignited crazily. The idea moved, using his points to exchange for a few pills, and said, "Sorry, I caused you to suffer." She gently gave the pill to Gui Rou. Gui Rou's face was pale, but a smile still hung on her face, and she said, "I knew you would come back." Sensing Long Fei's relationship, she felt sweet in her heart and said faintly, "Don't worry about me, I'm fine. The heavenly spirit, and they have both been infected by Lu Qianhuan's soul-losting powder. So only Lu Qianhuan has the antidote for this poison. Quickly go and find the antidote. The longer you drag on, the harder it will be to cure the poison." After Gui Rou consumed the medicinal pellet, the injuries on his body began to lessen a little. He walked to the front of the flower bud. His 10 fingers moved, and countless of thin lines linked together. In a short moment, Gui Rou concentrated his mind, suddenly, as the power of the great puppet technique moved. Boom! The flower bud was in full bloom, and everyone inside was sent out safe and sound. However, they were still unconscious. Gui Rou coughed a few times as his face became even paler. Seeing her like this, Long Fei's heartache was really bad. Looking at the 5 Vajra, Yang Yu, and Niu Dashan, who were poisoned, the killing intent in Long Fei's heart intensified as he said in his heart, "Lu Qianhuan, if I don't kill you today, I swear I won't be a human." Old Fire was raging. It had never happened before. Walala, walala, walala. The big door of the Kunlun sect opened, and under Lu Qianhuan's instructions, the mechanism controlling the big door immediately broke down, which also meant that the big door could no longer be closed. Powerhouse outside the Kunlun sect could directly enter. Lu Qianhuan laughed complacently. "Long Fei, if you don't let me down, I won't let you live either. Let's see who can play who today. Aren't you good at it? Let's see how strong you are." Ha ha ha. Chapter 1296. Come on. Chapter 1296. Come on, Long Fei's head is mine. Ha ha ha. I have decided on the bounty of 100 million Xian crystal. 8 King Kong. Don't even think about escaping. Their lives are mine. The doors to the Kunlun sect opened, and the people outside rushed into the Kunlun sect like a swarm of bees, all for the sake of Long Fei and the 8 King Kong's bounty. Bounty Gate's bounty was issued. The amount of the bounty could not be resisted by any martial artist. Many powerhouse also came. For Long Fei to fail twice in a row was a great humiliation to the Bounty Gate. He had to use Long Fei's blood to wash it. The bounty hunters were very strong. They were all elites. But the real powerhouse was not them, but the hidden powerhouse that was coming for the life essence. The black-robed powerhouse rushed out of the Kunlun sect and told her everything that had just happened. As expected, the person who devoured the life essence was indeed in Kunlun sect. It's really 100 years of longevity. If he really had this kind of life essence, then he would be able to live another 100 years. And this 100 years would change too many things. maybe he would be able to break through his shackles and ascend. Elder, what this disciple has seen is absolutely true. The life essence not only increases one's lifespan, it also possesses a strong power. The black-clothed powerhouse said, Kunlunzi's cultivation was not as good as his in the Emperor list's ranking, but after consuming the life essence, he was no match for it. All right. The white-haired old man was in high spirits and said, even if we didn't find the life essence, if we can suck his blood dry, even if we can't increase his lifespan by 100 years, 50 years would definitely not be a problem. Ha ha ha. Send my order down. No one is to touch Kunlunzi. He is mine. An elder of the Bounty Gate, an existence of the super powerhouse. If Long Fei was here, he would definitely drool on the ground because the golden light emitted by the old man's body was extremely dazzling. It was simply not worth it. The few powerhouses beside him were also glowing with a golden light. Just as Long Fei had expected, there was a large group of bosses outside the Kunlun sect. Lu Qianhuan stood by the side of the black-clothed powerhouse, and his heart became even more excited. Long Fei, you won't be able to escape even if you have wings today. Just wait for your death. He did not leave. He wanted to see Long Fei die so that he would feel good. There were many others who thought the same way as the white-haired old man. These people were all here for the life essence. If they could not wait for the life essence, they would still swallow the blood from Kunlunzi's body. Kunlun Grand Hall. Huolin gathered all of the imprisoned disciples together, looked at Long Fei, and asked, Sect Master, what should we do now? The Kunlun Gate is wide open. Many people have already charged into the Kunlun sect. At this moment, a few disciples, such as the Heavenly Spirit, Fat Men Chun, and the others entered the hall. Kunlunzi also recovered from his injuries and walked into the hall, and everyone looked at Long Fei. They were all waiting for Long Fei's decision. A disciple walked into the hall and said, We still haven't found the King Kong. After Li Yuanba rushed out, he seemed to have disappeared completely. Even after searching throughout the entire Kunlun sect, he could not find him. Long Fei frowned, and then Long Fei said, You guys stop looking. I will personally look for him later. Now listen to me. Silence filled the hall. Long Fei said, I do not know how many powerhouse have arrived this time, but no matter how many people there are, I want to fight them. For Kunlun sect. The voices in the hall shook as they spoke in unison. For the Kunlun sect. Everyone's morale rose. At this time, Long Fei then said, Therefore, I have decided to have all of you retreat and guard the forbidden grounds. Isn't it war? Why are they retreating and defending the forbidden grounds? What's going on? Grand Master, we are not afraid of death. Let's fight with them. Exactly, fight it out with them. Was also startled. He took a step forward and said, Sect Master, why are we retreating to defend the forbidden grounds? That is a dead end. Kunlunzi also had a face full of suspicion. Long Fei said, I have no way to explain it to you right now. Huolin, you are now the great clan elder. I want you to lead all of these disciples into the forbidden grounds. Long Fei said, the forbidden area was a land of death. But to Long Fei, that was the only living place of the Kunlun sect. Huolin's brows tightened. He still wanted to say something. Long Fei's gaze darkened, and before he could say anything, he said directly, This is an order. He gave the order. Huolin had no choice but to say, Disciple obeys. Long Fei continued, No matter what happens outside, do not leave the forbidden grounds. Kunlunzi asked, Sect Master, what about you? Long Fei smiled lightly and said, I want to kill all of them. What? Sovereign, let's fight together. Everyone thought that Long Fei would also retreat and defend the Forbidden Grounds, but how was it possible for him to have to defend the Forbidden Grounds by himself? Kunlunzi immediately replied, "Absolutely not. You are now the sect master, and your life and death is related to the Kunlun sect. Even if you want to go, you should let me handle it." What kind of status does sect master have? How could he rush to the front? At this moment, some of those who were unconvinced with Long Fei were secretly shocked and started to admire him. Long Fei said, "Don't worry, I will be fine. The most important thing is that you must remember what I said. You definitely cannot leave the Forbidden Grounds. If not, everything that I have done would have been in vain." Long Fei was not allowed to enter the Forbidden Grounds because he wanted to kill. Because Li Yuanba had not been found yet, he had to find this crazy Luby. "All right, then it's decided. My orders are to punish those who defy the rules of the sect." Long Fei's voice shook. At this time, a disciple hastily ran into the hall and said, "Sect master, it's bad, it's bad. They've slaughtered their way in." Long Fei immediately said, "Hualin, Kunlunzi, listen. Immediately retreat to the forbidden area. There can be no mistakes." Hualin was very unwilling, but he couldn't disobey Long Fei's orders. He was the sect master, so he had to obey Long Fei's orders. Kunlunzi was the same. Sky Spirit and Fat Man Chun could not say a word because they felt that they did not even have the right to speak, and their cultivation was lost. If there was still power left, they would definitely fight alongside Long Fei. But the Sky Spirit clenched its fists. Long Fei looked at them and said, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." In Long Fei's heart, this time the 8 King Kong was completely annihilated. This was a heavy blow to them, and also let them know their own disparity. It wasn't a bad thing to the 8 King Kong, but a good thing. The people inside the hall quickly left. Long Fei rushed out of the hall, faced the sky, and roared, "Come!" Chapter 1297, God's Scorpio. Chapter 1297, God's Scorpio, Rumble. Black clouds covered the stronghold. Thick bolts of lightning flashed from the thick clouds while the sky howled. It was as if he was responding to Long Fei's roar. The originally fine sky had suddenly transformed into this, as if a demon had descended into the world. Long Fei looked at the sky and said, "Do you want to stop me as well? You don't like lousy either, right? Don't worry, I don't like you either. Everyone wait." Rumble! A bolt of lightning exploded, directly striking the plaza in front of Long Fei, causing a thunderstorm. Long Fei didn't even blink. In another place, looked into the distance, and clasped his hands together, praying silently, "God bless Big Brother Long Fei. God bless Big Brother Long Fei." Beside her stood a middle-aged man. The man didn't have any aura, just like an ordinary person. He said slightly, "Lear, from today onwards, Long Fei will no longer be in Chaos Realm. This is also good. You don't have to worry about this man anymore." Xianyuan Li'er didn't speak, and the tears in her eyes continuously dripped down. She lightly shook her head and prayed in her heart, "Big Brother Long Fei will definitely be okay. He definitely will be okay." The man continued, "Bounty Gate's white-browed god, Hell Gate's Hell Senior, Thousand Alliance Sect's Vice Sect Leader, as well as countless Emperor List, Son of God ranking super powerhouse, a mere Kunlun sect is simply unable to stop them. However," the man paused for a moment, then said, "Maybe these powerhouse have a chance to resist, but that person..." A figure appeared in the man's mind, the figure of a stranger, Destiny God of the Destiny God, God's Scorpio. No one could stop his appearance. Long Fei won't do, not at all. Xianyuan Li'er's tears fell like rain as she muttered, Why is everyone targeting Big Brother Long Fei? Isn't Big Brother Long Fei miserable enough? Why are you targeting him like this?" Hellgate, Zhan Wushuang, 9 Secret Warrior Family, Bounty Gate, Thousand Alliance Sect. Why are there so many people who target him? Daddy, can't we help him? Xianyuan Li Er's heart was a little broken down. The man let out a soft sigh, looking at his daughter, so heartbroken. He also felt a bit bad, but he was very clear in his heart that Long Fei wasn't his daughter's best resting place. Zhan Wushuang is the real deal. The man looked up at the sky and said, maybe it's because of the heaven-defying power in his body. Everyone is afraid of him. Long Fei, I'm sorry. The man took a deep breath and said, Lear, go back. Zhan Wushuang is still waiting for you. You guys are going to take the Tower Question of God test. Xianyuan Li Er shook his head and said, Daddy, I don't want to go to any Tower Question of God. I only want Big Brother Long Fei to live. Tell me, is he going to live? The man very straightforwardly said, he won't live. Today, he will definitely die. Lear, your world is destined to be different from his. Forget about him. In the distance, Zhan Wushuang walked up and greeted the man respectfully, then walked behind Xianyuan Li Er and said, Junior sister, it's time, let's go. Xianyuan Li Er's tears fell, and she would not reveal her weak side in front of Zhan Wushuang. She coldly said, I don't want to go. The man's voice sank slightly as he said, Nonsense! Do you know how much time and energy the volume question of God spent on getting it? Zhan Wushuang's expression did not change at all, and said, Junior sister, I know you're thinking about Long Fei, but if you want to take revenge, then you should even more so enter the Tower Question of God, because only by having the power of the Tower Question of God help you stand at the peak of this world, you can do whatever you want, including taking revenge. Xianyuan Li Er was silent for a moment, then slowly turned and looked at Zhan Wushuang and said, I want revenge. I want to avenge Big Brother Long Fei. Zhan Wushuang laughed and said, That's more like it. It was just that. Without waiting for Zhan Wushuang to finish speaking, a look of determination that had never before appeared in Xianyuan Li Er's eyes, and he said, Hellgate, Bounty Gate, Myriad Alliance Sect, God's Mountain Gate. And you, Zhan Wushuang. Finished. Xianyuan Li Er walked out in large strides and thought in his heart, Big Brother Long Fei, I will definitely avenge you. After I finish avenging you, I'll go back to the underworld to find you. Slowly, Xianyuan Li Er's figure disappeared. The man walked forward and said, Wushuang, don't forget. Lear just lost her mind and said that kind of thing. Actually, she knew in her heart. Zhan Wushuang interrupted. Uncle Xianyuan, I know, I won't blame Junior sister. In his sleeve, Zhan Wushuang clenched both his fists tightly, the killing intent in his heart, and his fury surged beyond compare. Ha ha ha. Today you will be reduced to ashes, and not a single remnant soul will remain, but I will become the powerhouse among the Tower Question of God, and will enter the ancient holy battlefield to become the supreme powerhouse. More importantly, I will ride your most beloved girl, Xianyuan Li Er, under my crotch. I will let her feel comfortable, and when she cries out, I will make her cry out in satisfaction. Ha ha! A person, bare-chested. There was an incomparably sinister god's Scorpio tattooed on his back. His eyes were hollow, his face expressionless. He walked into the Kunlun Mountains step by step and towards the direction of the Kunlun sect. He walked a kilometer at a fast pace. The envoy of the destiny god, God Scorpio. He had also entered the Kunlun Mountains. Target Long Fei, a Kunlun sect. A heavy rain poured down, lightning and thunder struck down, wreaking havoc on Kunlun sect. Long Fei stood at the entrance of the great hall with the Xiao Luo machete in his hand. Raindrops splashed onto the blade and dripped down drop by drop. At this moment, his heart was incomparably calm without any ripples. In front of him, A large wave of powerhouse surged forward like a flood towards Xiang Longfei. Incomparable savagery. He's here. Long Fei's gaze turned sinister, and a cold smile appeared on his lips. The mountain-splitting knife in his hand moved, and with a step he directly charged into the rainwater. Rumble! 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 The berserk thunder roared nonstop, and those powerhouses charged forward. Long Fei did not have any form of defense. His blade slashed down, and before his opponent could react, his second blade was already down. Ding! 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 One man, one saber, killing madly in the rain. He was like a demon that killed the gods. This feeling was very refreshing, so much so that it felt like it was about to explode. However, these powerhouses were merely the weakest group of people who rushed in. There were a lot of bosses in the distance whose bodies were glowing with a golden light as they quietly watched Long Fei fight in the rain. Disdain was written all over his face. Chapter 1298, The Enlargement Stroke. Chapter 1298, The Enlargement Stroke. He is Long Fei, the junior master of the former Hell Gate. The son of Hell? Not much. Isn't he the sect master of the Kunlun sect? Why is he fighting alone? The sect master is really foolish to mix in such an appearance. Seeing Long Fei fighting against a large group of people in the rain, those people who were radiating light at the boss in the distance all seemed like they were watching a show. To them, Long Fei was just a fish on the chopping block. He would not be able to live for long. Long Fei massacred. In less than a few minutes, his body was full of wounds. However, the ground was littered with corpses. The system was going berserk. His experience points was going wild. His energy values was also going wild. All of the things that dropped had mysteriously disappeared, and were all eaten by the sky-swallowing rat with closed eyes. Not a single thing was left for Long Fei. Long Fei did not mind. As long as it was not an ancient spiritual treasure, he would not put it in his eyes. Boom. Ding. System notification. Activating paralysis effect. Long Fei's Xiao Luo machete smashed down heavily. Kacha. Bloody battlefield 4 knives. Hack your mother. Ding. After killing another person, Long Fei rushed forward to meet him once again. 5 minutes later, Long Fei was still killing. 10 minutes later, he was still killing. There were more and more corpses in the plaza, as well as more and more people entering the plaza. After an hour, Long Fei was still trying to kill him, but he had to do something about it. At this time, he was like a bloodthirsty shark, getting more and more excited, killing more and more valiantly. A gap appeared on the Xiao Luo machete. The originally fine mountain-splitting knife had now become a mountain-splitting saw. Blood and rain merged together. Blood flowed like a river across the entire plaza. The boss-rank powerhouse in the distance seemed to have lost his patience. One of the elders asked, "Will your 1,000,000 swords make a move?" "If you don't, then I'll do it." An old man from the Hell Gate walked out and laughed coldly. "To deal with this kind of people, you have to ruthlessly crush them. Let me do it." As soon as he finished, the naked old man from Hell Gate suddenly moved. Shwa! Disappeared. In half a breath of time, the hands hidden in the sleeves of his robes extended out, 10 fingers holding onto the incomparably sharp spurs, and his body turned. Buzz! As the rain swept across, a drop of rain shot towards Xiang Longfei. Like a bullet, the sharp claws moved. His body turned into a straight line, and under the rain of bullets, he rushed towards Xiang Longfei's throat. He's dead for sure. What incredible speed! What a heavy crush! Many people began to sneer. Long Fei was surrounded, and suddenly a powerhouse appeared out of nowhere. Wrong. It was simply unable to break free from Long Fei's restraints. Are the Hell Gate people that great? Long Fei began to sneer, Not to mention you're an elder of the Hell Gate. Even if it's the ancestors of the Hell Gate, I will still kill you anyway. Boom, boom, boom. A punch was sent down explosively. The old man from the infernal realm's health crazily dropped. Finally, it became 0. Boom. S body fell from midair, and a large hole was blasted out in his chest by Long Fei. The system rang out and released a set of ancient spiritual artifacts without waiting for the sky-swallowing rat to engulf him. Long Fei immediately filled it with the golden cudgel's energy and poured it into the second floor. The other things were all swallowed by the sky-swallowing rat. First boss, go all out. Long Fei's mouth twitched as he looked at the group of glittering bosses in the distance. He coldly laughed. Who's next? The brows of the few elders of the Hell Gate sunk as they coldly shouted, You're too arrogant. Kill them all. More warriors rushed out from the plaza. The disciples of the Hell Gate rushed towards Xiang Longfei, one after another. The plaza was densely packed, but now Long Fei no longer had any interest in them. It was just to give them more time. They had definitely all entered the forbidden grounds. Long Fei did not need to delay any longer. The one he wanted to kill now was the boss, but he had no interest in killing these small monsters. Long Fei looked at the wave of monsters below him and laughed coldly. It's time for the enlargement stroke. Chapter 1299, Activating the Hyogo. Chapter 1299, Activating the Hyogo. All of you, come at me. The more the better. I am going to use the enlargement stroke. Devil fruit. Magma erupts, filling the sky with fiery rain. Long Fei released the magmatic fruit's strongest power. Like a volcanic eruption, streams of lava burst out, forming a rain of fire that covered the sky and smashed heavily onto the ground. Rumble! 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 Beneath the magma, the warriors couldn't resist at all. They ran away with their arms around their heads, but the entire square was covered in the rain of fire. Flee. To flee to the infernal realm is more like it. All of you must die. Long Fei did not let any of them go. The magma crazily erupted, and the rain of fire exploded on the ground. The magma burst and stuck onto the ground until it died, and a series of damage flew out one after another from the plaza. 349,232, 293,342. These martial artists were too weak. All of them were instantly killed. In just a few seconds, the entire plaza had turned into a sea of lava. There were no survivors. In that few seconds, Long Fei leveled up once again. More importantly, his energy values had reached 100,000, and he had reached the Berserk node of the 6th level. Rank 6 Berserk. Long Fei was extremely excited just thinking about it, but this was the first time in history that such a thing would happen. Apart from Berserk, rank 6, from the profound stones to spirit treasures, all the items dropped by the warriors he killed earlier were eaten by the sky-swallowing rat. The key point was that the sky-swallowing rat was sound asleep. How could this fist-sized creature eat so much? Moreover, it's fine if he didn't level, but he didn't even open his eyes. Isn't he giving me too much face? The fire unicorn was still standing in the corner, cautious and not daring to let down its guard. It was as if it would swallow the sky-swallowing rat whole when it woke up. There were many requests from Fire Unicorn S, but they were all rejected by Long Fei. Who else? Long Fei's body slowly recovered. He stared at the glittering bosses and asked, Who else? Aren't you going to take my head? Come on. Isn't it supposed to overturn Kunlun sect? Come on. F***CK. Long Fei said with incomparable arrogance, You have to be arrogant if you're alive. You think you're amazing for killing so many cannon fodder. How dare you open a dying room with something that doesn't know the limits of the heavens and the earth just by giving you 3 colors? He lowered his voice, and the deputy chief of the alliance, Chiu Feng, walked out. Her eyes were locked. His gaze was unmoving as he stared at Long Fei, and he said coldly, "Long Fei, I'll give you a chance to die without any pain. Kneel before me, kowtow to my myriad alliance, and apologize." Chiu walked out together. His body was covered in a dazzling golden light. His profound spirit chi was also extremely dense, releasing power outwards. The pressure on his body was overwhelming. Even Long Fei, who was a few hundred meters away, felt the strong pressure. Within his sea of consciousness, his mind was trembling. Powerhouse, a real powerhouse. Long Fei sneered and said, "I'll give you a chance to die without pain. Kneel down and call me father, and sing conquer. You're courting death." Chiu Wan squinted his eyes and moved as fast as lightning. His speed was many times faster than the old man from hell, and even Long Fei's brain could not react in time. Chiu Yin appeared in front of Long Fei. With one hand, he pinched Xiang Long Fei's throat. Long Fei's brain didn't react that quickly, but the instant that Chiu Yin spoke, his idea was linked to the Yuan Yang Big Beast in the 18th floor of hell. The moment the hill appeared, Long Fei moved. Yuan Yang Big Beast, F***ck him to death. Roar. A primal roar. An incomparably huge black shadow descended from the sky, and before Chiu Yi's attack could descend, the Yuan Yang Big Beast's huge palm had already struck down. Rumble. A palm strike that tore through the air. Puchi. Chiu Yin fell to the ground instantly. Half of his head was ripped off by the Yuan Yang Big Beast's palm, and his flesh became a mess of flesh and blood, falling onto the ground in a pool. Long Fei stepped forward, stepping on his badly mutilated head. "Awesome. Let me see if another one of you is powerful enough. You want me to kneel? Who's going to kneel down now?" Without waiting for Chiu Yin to speak, Long Fei's right foot stomped ferociously, and with one stomp after another, it specifically stomped on the badly mutilated part of him. Chiu couldn't even let out a single scream, and was directly trampled to death by Long Fei in this manner. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Chiu Dao for obtaining 300,000 experience, 29,000 holy source, and 10 energy values. Do you want to release your striking energy value? Long Fei hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he endured it, because the higher the level of the boss, the higher its level was. The real powerhouse had yet to come out. Long Fei withdrew his striking attribute. The same thing happened with the ancient spiritual treasure and a few other things. The golden cudgel's energy filled the 3rd floor, and the other things were eaten by the sky-swallowing rat, but they still did not open their eyes. Who's next? Long Fei laughed coldly. Behind him, the eyes of the Yuan Yang Big Beast were like lanterns. Incomparable savagery. The faces of the bosses sunk. The deputy chief had been killed in an instant. This giant beast was too ferocious. At this moment, everyone was shocked by Long Fei. Not coming? If he doesn't come, then I'll go. Long Fei laughed, looked at the bosses, and said disdainfully, "You're afraid of death." At this moment, Long Fei's brows suddenly tightened. In another place, outside the forbidden area, the bounty gate was surrounded by a large number of powerhouse, and there was also a super powerhouse from the Hell Gate, the Hell Senior. Kunlunzi, give your life here, and the disciples of your Kunlun sect will be safe and sound. If Long Fei dies, all of you will die. White-browed God stared at Kunlunzi, who was standing at the entrance of the forbidden grounds, and started laughing excitedly. Kunlunzi's face changed. White-browed God. Abbot Whitebrow smiled. "Since you know my name, you should know my methods. I only want your life." Lu Qianhuan, who was in the middle of the crowd, laughed complacently. Long Fei, you bastard. You think I can't find them just because you told them to hide in the forbidden grounds? I've said it before, if you don't let me off, I definitely won't let you off either. He was the one who brought the Hell Gate people around the Karakoram Savants Hall to arrive here. He will get the benefits from the white-browed god. Kunlun-Zi took a step forward. Fat Men, Chen pulled him back. Hualin said straightforwardly, if we want to live together, if we want to die together, we'll die together. Grand Master, we have to fight it out with them. Many disciples shouted. Abbot Whitebrow sneered. Fight! Do you think trash like you are qualified to fight with me? Kunlun-Zi, there is a limit to my patience. You must not challenge my patience, if not. Killing intent rose up in his heart, and his pressure was like a mountain. The entire sky above the forbidden area began to tremble. No one could resist it. Long Fei sensed it here, but there was no time for him to stop her. But it's time to start the arsenal. It was also at this time. Standing at the entrance of the Kunlun sect was a half-naked man. On the man's back was a gigantic and sinister god's Scorpio. Chapter 1300, White-Browed God S Attack. Chapter 1300, White-Browed God S Attack Go to the Forbidden Area. There wasn't enough time. However, Long Fei had plans in mind. He had long since prepared everything. Even if he couldn't completely block it, he could at least stall for time, giving him time to dare to go through. Activate the arsenal. When Long Fei's idea moved, the mechanical heart gently rotated a few times, and immediately after, the ground of the Kunlun sect began to emit explosive booms. It was like a large group of soldiers attacking. The white-browed god looked at Kunlun-Zi coldly and said, since you're giving me face but not wanting it, and insist on forcing me to take action, since that's the case, then let's do it as you wish. Kill. Leave no one alive. His voice was cold, and the bounty gate behind him instantly moved, charging forward. At this moment, Lu Qianhuan also rushed out along with him, grinning sinisterly and coldly. 8 King Kong is mine. Ha ha ha. Let's see how lousy will kill you all. Fat Man Chen was also furious and scolded loudly. F***CK, if you have the guts, come at me. Hualin shouted, disciples of the Kunlun sect, listen up. Huh. As soon as he finished speaking, all the disciples within the forbidden area rushed up to him. You dare to challenge the bounty gate? Even if there are 10,000 Kunlun sects, they do not have the qualifications. Bai Mei's eyes were gloomy and cold, staring straight at Kunlun-Zi. His target was Kunlun-Zi. Seeing the powerhouse from the bounty gate rush towards him, Hualin's heart trembled. Every disciple of the Kunlun sect felt their hearts tremble. Fear. His heart was seized by fear. However, there were some things that, even if they were afraid, they still had to go back on their words. Hualin clenched his fists and said, Get ready! Ha! The Kunlun sect disciples trembled again. Some of them even had trembling hands that were holding onto their weapons. They are the powerhouse of the Bounty Gate sect. Their cultivation was several levels higher than theirs. Could he block it? It couldn't be stopped. You trash, go to hell. Lu Qianhuan laughed coldly. Kunlun sect is mine. I am the sect master of Kunlun sect. Rumble. Right at the moment when the attacks of the powerhouse descended, the disciples of the Kunlun sect braced themselves and blocked them. A loud sound exploded out. A bounty gate was sent flying. He was hit by a powerful force and sent flying without any resistance. Next. Boom, boom, boom. One bounty gate after another were sent flying. They had no idea what was happening. The powerhouses that were sent flying all had one thing in common. One leg was crippled. What kind of power? What happened? Lu Qianhuan retreated halfway, and cold sweat broke out on his back. He turned pale from fright and wanted to take advantage of the chaos to take care of 8 King Kong. Fortunately, his cultivation was not fast enough. Otherwise, he would be the one sent flying. The moment the powerhouse S were flung into the air, hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo, the sound of fighter jets flying through the sky followed. Boom, boom, boom. Wave after wave of force exploded on their bodies, as if bombers were bombarding the ground. One by one, they were all killed. Ding, 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 ding. The system beat began to go berserk. Long Fei laughed in his heart and thought to himself, the mechanical battle soldiers have started to explode. At the same time, Long Fei turned and quickly headed towards the forbidden grounds. The powerhouse S, and even the assassins were stunned. Why did Long Fei want to escape at this time, when he clearly had the upper hand? Bounty Gate. Why is no one from Bounty Gate here? A few of the powerhouse S tensed up and immediately thought of one matter: life essence. This time, the Bounty Gate was here for the life essence. Everyone, follow me. Quick, quick, quick. Suddenly, everyone rushed up to the forbidden area. At the entrance of Kunlun's sect, God's Scorpios, eyes closed slightly as he sensed the presence of an idea. After half a second, he looked towards the sky and muttered some words that he could not understand. Then, a red light flashed in his eyes as he murmured, "This is the place." Buzz. A command was transmitted into his body. No one is allowed to obtain another life essence. The person who forges the life essence must die. The person who uses the life essence must die. No human can contend against fate. The Destiny God's voice was filled with anger. Even if it was the Destiny God, he did not know who refined the life essence. Moreover, the power that the old Lord Taishang on Long Fei's body possessed was something that could not be detected by any external force. This time God's, Scorpio's target, was not Long Fei. It was Kunlunzi. Because he was the first person to use a life essence, he had suddenly increased his lifespan by 100 years, which also meant that he had surpassed the limits of his own fate. God's Scorpio kneeled on the ground with a pious expression and said in the end, "As you command." Following that, he stepped into the Kunlun sect. Kunlun's sect was shocked. Boom, boom, boom. Super soldiers crawled out from the ground one after another. There were strength soldiers the size of ants, Air Force soldiers, and super robot like super soldiers. All of them blocked the entrance to the forbidden area. Powerful and domineering, Kunlunzi was shocked and said, "The oldest legacy in the Kunlun sect is mechanical arts. It's just that for the past few years, we have been pursuing a breakthrough in the martial way, to the point where we have neglected mechanical arts. You must know that our ancestor Kunlun's cultivation is only at the spirit level." Chapter 1301, 5 seconds Invincible Time. Chapter 1301, 5 seconds Invincible Time. There were over 100 combat soldiers. Whether it was the air raid soldiers or the ant soldiers, all of their mechanisms were destroyed in that instant. The moment they were shattered, their power would disappear. It was as if all the organs in a person's body had shattered. One move of Slay. The white-browed god was too strong. Many of the Kunlun sect disciples' faces turned cold. The fear in their hearts grew even stronger, and they looked at white-browed God as if he was their death god. White-browed God stared at Kunlunzi and said, "Obediently hand over your life, and I will spare their lives." Kunlunzi was being stared at by the white-browed god, but he could not muster up any strength. He wanted to resist, but he was completely unable to. Too strong. Huolin looked at Kunlunzi and said, "Great Master, you cannot." Not waiting for him to finish, White-browed God glared at him. Are you qualified to speak? Boom! Hui Lin immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body was crushed until he was forced to kneel on the ground. Both his knees had shattered, and he was in incomparable pain. Many Kunlun sect disciples rushed forward in unison. White-browed God sneered and said, What, do you want to kneel as well? Since you want to kneel, then kneel. Buzz. A burst of energy and aura burst out from his body. The strong pressure was like a crushing pressure from the heavens pressing onto the minds of every disciple of the Kunlun sect. He couldn't stop it. They couldn't resist it at all. Their bodies trembled, and in a short moment their legs bent, and they heavily knelt down. However, suddenly, kneel before your ancestors. Boom! The sky was burning, and the power of the blue flaming Emperor Lotus was burning away all of the suppressive power that had been released from the air. Long Fei's body moved and landed in front of the Forbidden Grounds valley. He stared at white-browed God and sneered. You like having people kneel so much? Then kneel down for me. White-browed God's intimidating aura retracted and stared at Long Fei. And where are you from? Lu Qianhuan immediately said, Lord Hierarch, he is Long Fei. Long Fei, a former youth master of Hell Gate. The Long Fei that caused our bounty gate to fail twice. White-browed God looked at Long Fei seriously and asked, Has the power in your body awakened? Almost everyone who knew about Long Fei would ask, Has the power in your body awakened? They would all ask. Long Fei was puzzled. What power is hidden in my body? Why have I never felt it before? What was it? Furthermore, it was not hard to tell from their eyes that the power hidden within their own bodies was extremely terrifying. Even a super powerhouse like him was especially afraid. What kind of power could cause these powerhouse to be afraid? Long Fei gave a cold laugh as he continued, Do we still need to awaken our powers to deal with you? Humph! You still dare to be arrogant in front of me? Long Fei, even your father has to give me some respect in front of me. The white-browed God's eyes were filled with anger as he thought in his heart, Does he have the power to awaken? If he didn't, how did he manage to complete the 2 Bounty Gate missions that he failed? If the power in his body were to awaken. Thinking about this, white-browed God's eyes darkened. His brows knitted slightly. Long Fei glanced at Kunlunzi and said, You guys retreat into the Forbidden Grounds Valley. Leave this place to me. Don't come out no matter what happens. Remember what I say. Don't come out no matter what. Kunlunzi didn't understand, but he still did as he was told. There was nothing they could do here. It would only implicate Long Fei. 8 King Kong's heart was in great pain. They were like cripples as they watched Long Fei bear everything on his own. There was nothing they could do. The sky spirit clenched its fists. Fat Men Chen gritted his teeth as his face contorted in pain. This feeling was even worse than killing them. The Kunlun sect disciples slowly retreated into the valley. Lu Qianhuan laughed mockingly. That forbidden area is a dead end. Even if you try to escape, you won't be able to. Long Fei stared at Lu Qianhuan and said, You will die? He then pointed at the white-browed God and said, You will die too. And you, all of you must die. White-browed God's gaze tensed up. You speak so arrogantly. You overestimate yourself. His figure moved. Boom. A series of whistling sounds came crushing down from the air and instantly landed in front of Long Fei as he said coldly, Kid, there's only one outcome for you to act arrogantly in front of me. Die. A palm struck down. The air exploded. A powerful force was channeled into him, making it impossible for him to block it. Long Fei's own strength had been completely suppressed. This was the difference in realm. His mind and his sea of consciousness felt incomparably uncomfortable. However, However, the corner of Long Fei's mouth faintly hooked upwards and coldly laughed out, saying, "I said it before, you would die." Ding. System notification. Do you wish to activate the possession of Sun Wukong? Activate. Long Fei didn't hesitate at all. For a boss like the white-browed god, even if he broke through to level 30, he would still not be able to fight against it. The difference in strength was too great. The probability of the paralyzed ring triggering the numbing effect was less than 1%. The Yuan Yang Big Beast had already returned to the 18th level of hell due to the time limit. Now, the only power that Long Fei had was the main artifact S. After absorbing the energy from the 3 layers of ancient spiritual artifact, Long Fei's aura instantly changed. He clenched his right hand. Buzz. The golden cudgel moved, and a voice sounded in his heart. "I, old son, am also here." A stick was thrown out. Rumble. The space between white-browed gods' eyebrows tightened all of a sudden as he felt the incomparable strength that suddenly emerged from Long Fei's body. His expression changed, and it was too late for him to jump out. 108,000-pound golden cudgel ferociously attacked. Boom! Its body sank and was directly smashed into the ground by the golden cudgel. Crack! His knees shattered. Fresh blood flowed onto the ground. White-browed god also cried out in pain. "Ah, does it feel good to kneel? Didn't you like to make people kneel? Is it good?" Without giving the white-browed god any time to react, he smashed his staff down once again, heavily hitting the top of white-browed god's head, causing fresh blood to spurt out. His knees dug straight into the ground. White-browed god screamed in pain. "Brat, me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me?" Another pole attack landed. Long Fei roared out and said, "I only ask you one thing. What happened to me?" Rumble. A damage value of 10 million floated above white-browed god's head. Awesome? Was Bounty Gate's super powerhouse awesome? In front of Monkey Sun, even the Jade Emperor had to behave. So what if it was a mere white-browed god, the 3rd level of energy, in exchange for 5 seconds of invincible time? Long Fei would never be merciful towards a boss. "I'm only going to ask you one thing. Do you feel good about kneeling? Move my people? Touch my brother? You're tired of living. Die for me." Chapter 1302. Inverted Ship in the Gully. Chapter 1302. Inverted Ship in the Gully. Boom. 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 Bang. 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 They did not give white-browed god the slightest chance. In the distance, the faces of the Bounty Gate S turned pale. The faces of those who had rushed over to the Thousand Alliance sect and the Hellgate S turned pale. They were all stunned by the power that burst out from Long Fei's body. Terrifying to the extreme. Arrogant? I'm arrogant. I'm arrogant. Looking at the last bit of HP on white-browed god's head, the golden cudgel in Long Fei's hands smashed down for the last time. Rumble! Explode for me! Boom! White-browed god's body split into 2, and blood splattered all over the ground. At this moment, the sweet sound of a system beep could be heard. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing white-browed god for obtaining 130,000 experience, 100,000 holy source points, and 10 energy values points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the ancient spiritual artifact, Primeval Sword. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the ancient spiritual artifact, Sky Opening Bracelet. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Victory Blood Vein. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. A series of explosions occurred. It was a complete mess because he was too excited. When he shouted out loud, Long Fei suddenly realized something. Damn, I forgot to use level 6 Berserk. Damn you. System, aren't you going to give me a hint? Long Fei had a look of, I'm suffering in my heart. The items that were dropped were absorbed by the golden cudgel. The 2 layers of energy filled the space. The blood vein was absorbed by the devourer's vein. One strand of the other was eaten by the sleeping sky, swallowing rat. This fellow did not have the slightest reaction, and was still in a deep slumber. He didn't look like he was about to wake up at all. Ding! Sun Wukong's possession time is over. Long Fei retracted the strength from his body, swept the golden cudgel in his hand with it, pointed his finger, and yelled, "Who else?" Buzz. The sound of his voice exploded in the minds of every single one of them. He had been crushed. White-browed God was one of the 10 great powerhouses of the Bounty Gate. He was beaten to death by Long Fei just like that. What kind of power was this? The hearts of a few Hellgates were trembling as they said, his power has awakened. The power in his body has awakened. It's too terrifying. Ah. While they were talking, a few Hell powerhouses immediately escaped. Their minds could not bear this kind of impact. Long Fei was too terrifying for them. Who else? Aren't you going to kill me? Come on. Long Fei roared out in a brutal tone. Come at me if you have the guts. The entire hall was silent. No one dared to move. They were all frightened. He couldn't stop it at all. This was not the key point. The key point was that when Long Fei heard that the soul-lasting powder did not have the antidote, he instantly became angry. Boom! The golden cudgel in his hand trembled. He couldn't help but erupt in rage. F***CK, your ancestors for 18 generations. The golden cudgel in Long Fei's hands started to burn crazily and smashed down with the staff towards Lu Qianhuan, who was extremely proud of himself, causing his anger to surge crazily. Long Fei had the chance to kill him several times, but none of them were able to. It was precisely because of the antidote for the bewitching powder. Because he was worried that he wouldn't be able to find the antidote for the bewitching powder. But now, there was no antidote for the bewitching powder. What about 8 King Kong then? Then what about Yang Yu, Niu Dash, and Yang Wanu? What should they do? He became a cripple again. This caused Long Fei to be incomparably furious. Lu Qianhuan's eyes opened wide. Never in his wildest dreams would he imagine that Long Fei would still be able to unleash such a powerful force after being struck by a soul-lasting powder. However, rumble! With a swing of the staff, he turned into a pile of minced meat, dying an extremely miserable death. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Lu Qianhuan for obtaining 8,000 experience, 1,000 holy source points, and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 1 Xian crystal. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. He did not get the soul-lasting powder's antidote. A single round of rage had instantly killed Lu Qianhuan, but Long Fei himself, his body sank to the ground, and he felt like falling unconscious. This time, it's really over. The bones in his body were fractured, his strength was restricted by the seal, and there wasn't the slightest bit of defense in his body that was weaker than an ordinary person's. With just that one kick, several of his ribs were broken. Seeing that someone attacked, the people from Hell Gate, the people from Bounty Gate, and the people from 10,000 Alliance all rushed to Long Fei's side and started to kick and punch him, no matter how arrogant he is. How arrogant! You have such a day. Long Fei spat out a mouthful of blood. His health point was rapidly decreasing. His protective ring was not activated at all by the resurrection ring, and they also needed a little bit of energy. However, this tiny bit of power was simply too difficult for the current Long Fei. Long Fei, get up again. Youth master of Hell Gate. Bullshit. Trash. Go to hell. The crowd beat them up crazily, causing Long Fei to be unable to resist. He squinted his eyes and looked at each and every one of them. The only thing he could do was to memorize their appearances. At this moment, Long Fei thought, I'm sorry. Jojo, I'm sorry. Xianyuan Lier, I'm sorry. Everyone, I'm sorry. He really had no other choice. No power could be activated. Nothing could be done. Even these people could easily punch and kick him. Long Fei's idea was connected to the mechanical heart. Ancestor Kunlun had said that mechanical heart controlled all of Kunlun's sex traps. Once the last mechanism was activated, everyone other than the Kunlun sex Forbidden Valley would die. Huff, goodbye, revealed a slight smile. The idea sunk, and just as Long Fei was about to activate the destructive mechanism, rumble, B-boss, boss, boss. A large man with a huge stone coffin on his back descended. His entire body was covered in red light, and his eyes had also turned a purplish red. His entire body was emitting a rich energy. Li Yuanba, who was in a berserk state. His consciousness was out of control. After escaping from the dungeon, he searched the entire place for Lu Qianhuan, and the image of Lu Qianhuan appeared in his mind, as if he wanted to kill him. However, now that he saw Long Fei being smashed to the ground and saw all of this, he had recovered a little bit. No matter how much he lost his rationality, Long Fei would never forget about it, because his name was given to him by Long Fei. His life was also given by Long Fei. Long Fei had also given him the giant spirit godstone coffin on his back. Watching Long Fei suffer, at this moment, the energy within Li Yuanba's body exploded out even more violently as he let out a furious shout. With a flick of his right hand, the giant spirit axe in his hand swept out like a war god descending. Boom, boom. He directly forced those people to retreat. Chapter 1304. Sky-Swallowing Rat Awakened. Chapter 1304. Sky-Swallowing Rat Awakened, he walked over step by step. It carried the aura of death from the infernal realm. From the very beginning, he had been secretly paying attention to Long Fei. It was clear that the power that Long Fei had exploded forth earlier was not the power that had awakened in his body. The power in his body was countless times stronger than before. The explosive force within his body was something no one could stop. Since he did not awaken, then he should eliminate the root and not allow Long Fei to grow any further. Like this, there would be a day when he would awaken the power in his body. Even if he did not awaken it, it would be a hidden danger for the Hell Gate. Since the Hell Gate changed owners, they had to do their best to protect the Hell Gate and let this power continue to exist in the Chaos Realm for all eternity, scaring everyone. Walking to Li Yuanba's side, the Hell Senior lightly said, "Get out of the way." Boom. Li Yuanba's axe fell, and he said solemnly, "Those who touch my boss will die." "You overestimate yourself." Hell Senior moved his body and used his finger to form a sword. Shwa! He broke through the attack from Li Yuanba's axe and landed in front of, with his head on Li Yuanba's chest, surging with power. Boom! A ray of power directly pierced through Li Yuanba's body. Instant piercing. Fresh blood spurted out from the wound. Li Yuanba's body sank and let out a roar. The coffin on his back shook and then fell to the ground. Buzz. The symbols on the coffin crazily poured into his body. At the same time, Li Yuanba roared out once again, "Those who touch my boss will die." Boom, boom, boom. The tremor exploded inside his body. Following that, his body underwent an intense change. His three-headed, six-armed giant body burst out, and the 3 giant spirit axes slashed down. Swish, 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 swish. The 3 axes that cleaved through the void. The center of Hell Senior's brows tightened, and his body became as light as a thin sheet of paper. His body lightly bounced off and landed in the distance with a sneer on his face. 3 heads and 6 arms. Seems like your blood vein is not bad, huh? Interesting, very interesting. Then your blood vein is mine. As soon as he finished, Hell Senior suddenly dove down from the sky and rushed towards Li Yuanba. Ah! Li Yuanba shouted in fury. Without waiting for Hell Senior to rush over, he rushed over. War God Hanging Moon. Triple slash. Rumble. In the air, Li Yuanba's body was like a god of war, holding onto the axe with both hands as he leaned backwards. 3 huge axes sealed every part of Hell Senior's body. Hell Senior shouted, "Piercing Heartfinger, get down!" Rumble! 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 The power in the air continued to leak out. The earth shook and the sky trembled. The surrounding people were all forced to retreat by this powerful force and were unable to stand steadily. Too powerful. The 2 figures bounced away. Blood dripped from the corner of Hell Senior's mouth as he retreated several hundred meters back with a pale face. He was overwhelmed with shock in his heart. What a powerful strength! Li Yuanba's body fell from midair. Bam! With a loud thud, he hit the ground, spitting out a mouthful of black blood. At this moment, all the energy in his body was exhausted, and he could no longer breathe. At the same time, he regained his composure. Looking at Long Fei, who was not far away, he grinned and said, "Boss." Long Fei was heartbroken and couldn't say a word. Li Yuanba said dumbly, "Being able to die together with Boss is the greatest honor of my, Li Yuanba's, life. Boss, in my next life, I will still want to be your King Kong." Hee. Whoosh. The stable Hell Senior took a step forward and said, "Go to hell, all of you." His speed was extremely fast. The battle just now had left him shaken. This sort of person had to die, or else there would be endless hidden dangers left behind. Moreover, if he was given a few more years, the strength of this giant would be incomparably terrifying. Long Fei had to die. His 8 King Kong also had to die. The 8 of them each had a power with a different attribute. As long as he could unleash this power, I'm afraid the Hell Gate was in danger. Boom. Li Yuanba looked at Long Fei and said, "Boss, I'll be leaving first." Suddenly, Li Yuanba stood up with a smile on his face. No, no, no. Long Fei was screaming in his heart. If he was in this state, Li Yuanba would not be able to withstand the Hell Senior's attacks, and he would die. But Li Yuanba was fearless. The most meaningful thing in his life was following Long Fei, the boss. It allowed him to live so happily. At this moment, the first time he had met Long Fei, the first time he had followed Long Fei, the first time, lots of times. My life is worth it. Li Yuanba laughed foolishly, looked at Hell Senior, who was rushing towards him, roared and said, "Come." Buzz. The coffin lid fell off. A golden corpse instantly superimposed onto Li Yuanba's body. Humph. No matter what armor you use, you will still die. The Hell Senior snorted coldly, and the power in his hands became even more purple. Yuanba! Yuanba! Long Fei roared out in his heart. Power! Power! I need power. Seeing his brothers die for him, Long Fei's heart felt like it was being torn apart. It was extremely painful. The Hell Senior got closer and closer. Long Fei could only lie on the ground and do nothing. This feeling was even worse than killing him. The big guy is dead. King Kong, the bounty reached 60 million. No wonder there's such a high bounty. Truly powerful. So what if he's strong? We still have to die. Hell Senior is an amazing expert of the Hell Gate. To be killed by him is also his honor. Ha ha ha. Tall guy, just die. Strength. I need strength. System, please give me your strength. Long Fei screamed at the top of his lungs. However, the system did not reply. Beneath the soul-lasting powder, Long Fei had no other choice. The system was only an intelligent assistant. He would not give Long Fei any power at all. Even if Long Fei shouted until his throat bled, it was still useless. The system would not give him any power. What should I do? What should I do? Long Fei had gone crazy. He had already thought of all the ways he could think of. There was no power that could stop the Hell Senior. No power in Long Fei's body could stop him. His heart was in a frenzy. At this moment, the power of the seed of the great perfection, divine tribulation, quietly moved. It was as if Long Fei had angered him. At this moment, before Long Fei could even feel the power of the heavenly tribulation, the sky-swallowing rat had already moved and swallowed it all. At this moment, ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei, War Pet, Sky-Swallowing Rat, leveled up. Current level 1. The system beep slowly descended. The Sky-Swallowing Rat's eyes slowly opened. Chapter 1305. Instant Killer with a Glance. Chapter 1305. Instant Killer with a Glance. The Saint Emperor War Pet opened its eyes. However, at that moment, it opened its eyes weakly and closed them. Her eyes were filled with contempt, very disdainful. He was listless and could not muster up any strength. It was as if he didn't care at all, as if he didn't feel anything at all. The moment the Sky-Swallowing Rat opened his eyes, Long Fei's heart trembled, as if he had seen a glimmer of hope. However, the moment he closed his eyes, despair filled his heart once again. Saint Emperor War Pet, if he could fight, he would definitely be able to stop Hell Senior. Suddenly, Long Fei's heart was shocked. What's going on? The soul-lasting powder in his body truly was fading fast. And also, most importantly, in that instant, the amount of blood on Hell Senior's head had been reduced explosively from 90% to 10%. What kind of concept was that? Instant dealing tens of millions of damage? Do you have to be so incredible? Eyes. An injury caused by a single glance from a sky-swallowing rat? This. Long Fei was so shocked that she couldn't even speak. Isn't this a little too abnormal? With just that one glance. Critical strike? Not at all. After that moment, Hell Senior didn't even have time to react. He only felt a sharp pain from his body, which then slowed down his attack and caused him to slow down. He knelt down all of a sudden. Plop! He knelt in front of Li Yuanba and spat out a mouthful of black blood. His eyes were trembling and his heart was collapsing. Why? He couldn't help but ask. He really didn't know what happened just now. All he knew was that he was in great pain, and his body was severely injured. It was an unspeakable pain all over his body. It was as if a power had pierced through his body. Who had sent this power out? He had no idea. F***CK. Long Fei was completely shocked in his heart. He looked at the sleeping sky-swallowing rat and said, "How powerful are you?" At this moment, the poison in Long Fei's body completely disappeared. When the sky-swallowing rat devoured the power released by the heavenly tribulation, he had also devoured the poison in Long Fei's body. Buzz. Long Fei's body exploded as he roared in his heart, Nine-Yang Divine Technique. Boom. His entire body was scarlet red, and his strength had risen dramatically. Taking a step forward, he instantly appeared on top of Hell Senior's head. Taking advantage of your illness, he demanded for your life. Isn't your Hell Senior being arrogant? Then come. Boom! Long Fei's fists turned into magma as they descended from the sky, heavily smashing down. Rumble! The two fists heavily struck Hell Senior's body. 19,021, 5 digits of damage, compared to the damage that the sky-swallowing rat had caused with a single glance, was not even worth a fart. This was the limit of Long Fei's power. If the King of Heaven provokes me, I will kill him too. You, explode for me. Both of his fists exploded and heavily smashed down like a cannon. Rumble! The last bit of blood on top of Hell Senior's head disappeared, and his body was blasted apart by Long Fei's fist. Fire rained down from the sky as they slaughtered madly. Ding! 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 The beeps continued. But at this time, Long Fei was a little troubled. In the end, that notification sound belongs to the Hell Senior. He had to confirm the notification sound of the Hell Senior to release the Berserk power, to maximize its power, but he couldn't tell clearly now. This was awkward. Forget it. Long Fei hesitated for a moment, then silently said, "Let's do it like this." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Hell Senior for obtaining 650,000 experience, 50,000 holy source points, and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the ancient spiritual treasure, Mighty Elephant Sword. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the ancient spiritual artifact, Domain Sea Chains. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. The system's voice rang out incessantly. At the same time, a man slowly walked out. Got Scorpio. Chapter 1306. Arrival. Chapter 1306. Arrival. The ancient spiritual treasure was absorbed by the golden cudgel, adding the ancient spiritual treasure that had burst out from killing Bounty Gate. The energy filled up the golden cudgel in Long Fei's hands to the 4th floor. Who else? Who else? Long Fei slowly stood up from Hell Senior's body, both of his hands flowing with lava. He swept his gaze across the entire audience, and the eyes of the people darkened as they did not dare to look into Long Fei's eyes. It was also at this time many people began to slowly retreat. The deputy chief of the Wan, True Union, was dead. The white-browed god of the Bounty Gate was dead, and the Hell Senior of the Hell Gate was dead as well. No one, every single one of them had a cultivation base that was stronger than Long Fei's, but they could not stop him. Long Fei's strength was too abnormal. They did not dare to fight against him. And then many began to retreat. He slowly retreated and finally ran out. You want to leave? You came to the Kunlun sect, and after killing everyone, you want to run? Did I say anything? Does Laozi agree? In that instant, Long Fei controlled the mechanical heart and suddenly moved. He shouted, "Kunlun sect entrance, close." The control mechanism had been destroyed, but the mechanical hearts were useless against Long Fei. Once the main gate of the Kunlun sect closed, these people would not be able to fly out even if they could. However, there was some distance between here and the main gate of the Kunlun sect, so these people did not know it yet. This was a huge wave of experience. How could Long Fei let it go? If the 3 bosses died, these people would definitely not let them off. If he wanted to do it, he had to do it. At this time, Li Yuanba's body sank. Long Fei rushed forward and said, "Yuanba." Li Yuanba said with a smile on his face, "Boss, I'm fine. I'm just a bit tired." His body was extremely weak. He had forcefully broken through the soul-losting powder's poison and forcefully blocked the Hell Senior's attack. His physical strength and physical body had all reached their limits. He couldn't bear it. As soon as he finished, Li Yuanba slowly fainted, and the golden corpse of the Titan god returned to the sarcophagus. Long Fei swiftly fed Li Yuanba a few medicinal pellets. The idea moved, transmitted energy into the forbidden grounds, and said, Hulin, bring a few people with you to carry Yuan Ba into the forbidden grounds. All the people in the forbidden area can come out now. The forbidden area was the final path of retreat. If Long Fei could not resist it, he would use his last move, destruction. It was also the last move from the ancestor Kunlun. The entire Kunlun sect was formed by mechanisms, and once the destructive device was activated, it was an existence that could destroy the heavens and the earth. Hulin was incomparably excited upon receiving the order. He turned around and said to the crowd, Victory, victory, our sect master has won. Ha ha! He was extremely excited. What kind of existence was it to be able to single-handedly fend off 3 superpowers? It was incomparably terrifying. Kunlunzi clenched his fists tightly. He looked at the sky and muttered, Master, did you see that? Kunlun sect has passed through a great calamity. The 3 trials of life and death, the legacy of the patriarch. Sure enough, Long Fei is the true target. Good boy. Kunlunzi became excited as well. He was currently rejoicing at the choice he made at Xiaoyao Auction House. 8 King Kong's face was also full of excitement. He was indescribably happy. Everyone leave the forbidden area, supported Li Yuanba and waited for them to come out. At this moment, Long Fei felt an aura approaching, an aura that made his heart tremble. He turned around and looked over. A person slowly walked up from behind him, a naked upper body, with the tail of a scorpion tattooed. On its back, on its chest, gave off a cold glow that sent chills down one's spine. Very strong. At this moment, Long Fei could feel that the aura the man was giving off was very, very strong. Moreover, at this moment, Long Fei's eyes suddenly shook. Divine Light Boss. Under normal circumstances, the levels of the bosses were divided into Golden Light Boss, Purple Light Boss, and Divine Light Boss. The Purple Light Boss was either not the powerhouse on this plane, or it was the top super powerhouse on this plane. As for the Divine Light Boss, there was only one possibility, an oracle sent by the main temple, just like the Golden Man in the underworld, just like the Oracle S, who were the emissaries of the heavens when Long Fei was undergoing his heavenly tribulation. The man in front of him was radiating divine light, and rings of light were emitting from his feet. Furthermore, this man was completely different from the oracle that Long Fei had met in the past. Their auras were different. The look in his eyes was different. The most important thing was he had caused Long Fei's heart to feel a deep dread, an incomparably terrifying existence. In front of him, Long Fei had a feeling that he was as insignificant as an ant. This feeling made him feel extremely unhappy. God Scorpio looked at Long Fei and asked coldly, "Is this Kunlun sect?" Long Fei looked at God's Scorpio and did not reply. Instead, he asked, "Someone sent by the main temple?" There were no ripples in God's Scorpio's eyes. He directly replied, "Yes." "Is this Kunlun sect?" he asked again. Long Fei still did not answer and asked, "Whose life did you come to Chaos Realm for?" "Main temple is not happy with anyone else." Obviously, this guy didn't come for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked so many questions and would have started fighting the moment they met. God Scorpio answered, as if he had a question, "I am the Destiny God's envoy. There is someone on the Chaos Realm who has violated the control of the Destiny God. This person has to die." "Is this Kunlun sect?" There was no ripple in his words. Destiny God, transcending the control of the Destiny God. Life essence, Kunlun Z. Then, Long Fei was shocked and immediately transferred the power of teleportation to Kunlun Z, saying, "Don't come out, don't come out, don't come out." However, Without waiting for Long Fei to send a sound transmission, Kunlun Zi walked at the very front, looked at the distant Long Fei, and said, "I've already come out. Long Fei, you're too awesome." Ha ha ha. He was very excited. The Kunlun sect would definitely rise in Long Fei's hands. Long Fei suddenly roared loudly, "Kunlunzi, be careful!" Before he could finish, the divine light behind Long Fei disappeared and instantly appeared in front of him. The moment he moved, Long Fei did not react in the slightest. He could not feel anything at all and was completely not his opponent. Kunlunzi was the same. He did not manage to react at all. Careful? Be careful of what? However, a ray of light descended, and God Scorpio stood in front of him. His eyes looked coldly at Kunlunzi as his idea moved slightly, gently sensing the situation, and said slightly, "That's right, you are the one who has transcended the control of destiny. You have gained an additional 100 years of lifespan, and the one who has transcended the control of the destiny god will only have one outcome. Before you die, I want to know who refined the life essence. Speak, I will make your death a bit more comfortable." Chapter 1307. If you don't accept it, then let's fight. Chapter 1307. If you don't accept it, then let's fight. It was very calm. He was so calm that he did not even put anyone in his eyes. God Scorpio, Destiny God Envoy, did not put anyone in his eyes. Kunlunzi looked at him. At first, he thought that it was Long Fei making a joke out of it, but after God Scorpio finished speaking, his heart suddenly sank as though it was about to explode from the pressure. It was extremely uncomfortable. Huolin took a step forward and dared to speak to his master like that. He was instantly enraged and shouted angrily, "Who the hell are you? How dare you?" Bam! Without waiting for him to finish speaking, the corner of God's Scorpio's eyes twitched as a glare shot towards him. Huolin's body instantly flew several hundred meters away and continuously smashed apart several towering trees. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. As the crowd got angry, Kunlunzi shouted loudly, "Don't come up!" Terrifying. The man in front of their eyes was too terrifying. This kind of powerhouse was 10,000 times scarier. Kunlunzi looked at Long Fei and then said, "Long Fei, you told us to retreat into the Forbidden Valley because there must be a trick in store, right? Now, all of you retreat. Don't worry about me." Long Fei's brows sank as he said, "All of you retreat into the valley." However, at this moment, God's Scorpio's brows moved and said coldly, "Did I let you guys move?" A voice. Buzz. Bang. Bang, bang. The nearby Kunlun sect disciples all spat out blood. Their minds were broken and their consciousness crumbled. In that instant, they were all killed. The pressure in his voice. Dozens of people fell. Other people had pale faces and were in extreme pain. Powerful to the point of being a complete mess. Eyes can attack, and even sound can attack. Too strong. His gaze was still as cold as ever. He didn't even bat an eyelid when he killed these people, as if he wasn't killing people, but ants. In the eyes of God, humans were but ants. No matter how much they died, they would not even furrow their brows. God Scorpio said coldly once again, "I'll give you one last chance. Tell me the name of the life essence's creator, and I will make your death a bit more comfortable." She was staring at Kunlunzi. Kunlunzi's internal organs were all rolling around, and he was in extreme pain. But even so, he did not want to sell Long Fei out. However, God Scorpio said coldly, "If you don't want to say it, I have ways to make you say it out loud. All you need to do is to extract your memories from them." However, extracting memories is a very painful process. It's like extracting your soul. Just as God Scorpio was talking, Many of the Kunlun sect disciples could not handle this kind of pressure, and a disciple suddenly roared, He immediately rushed over and said, "I'll fight it out with you." In that instant, dozens of disciples rushed forward. Fight! The crushing pressure was too unbearable. If it was to continue like this, he might as well go all out. Kunlunzi shouted, "Don't come over, don't come over." Bam! Bang, bang, bang. As long as dozens of people got within 2 meters of God's Scorpio, their bodies would instantly turn into a bloody mist, and they would crumble to pieces. They wouldn't even know how they died, even if they died. God's Scorpio said coldly, "An ant is an ant." A deep sense of disdain. This made even more people feel unwell. All of the disciples of the Kunlun sect rushed forward, and Long Fei wanted to stop them, but he couldn't stop it at all. Bang, bang, bang. One after another, God's Scorpio's body was smashed into smithereens. His blood mist, and his body was not even stained with the slightest amount of blood, but he was completely blocked by the power emitted from his body. This power was too terrifying. "Meat grinder!" Kunlunzi yelled in a loud voice. "Don't come up! Don't come up! Long Fei, take them and quickly leave this place. Hurry up! Leave!" Long Fei roared furiously in his heart, "F*** K your ancestors." As soon as his voice faded, Long Fei moved and linked to the golden cudgel. Ding! System notification. Do you wish to activate Sun Wukong's possession power? Activate. Buzz. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sun Wukong's possession for 7 seconds. In that instant, the strength of Long Fei's body suddenly changed. The golden cudgel drew countless of afterimages in the air and bellowed, "Get on the ground!" The corner of God's Scorpio's eyes went cold, as he did not put Long Fei in his eyes. In that instant, boom, an explosive sound was emitted from the top of God's Scorpio's head, and the air shields surrounding him let out creaking sounds as they exploded. God Scorpio was enraged. His figure moved. Boom. It landed in front of Long Fei, and before Long Fei could make a move, a palm blasted down. Rumble! Once the divine light shot out, Long Fei stood there unmoving, with a cold smile on his face as he looked at the shocked God Scorpio, and said with a sinister laugh, "You are the oracle, and this daddy is also a god. This old man is also great sage Qitian." His saint force exploded. In these 7 seconds, he had to get rid of God's Scorpio. If not, Long Fei would die, and everyone here would die. However, the golden cudgel in Long Fei's hand combusted, and the Samisen true fire exploded, blasting down. Rumble! God's Scorpio lowered his body and dropped from the sky. A number floated above his head. 329,392 inch. It was over 300,000 damage to the Sun Wukong, who possessed the power. This damage was extremely low. However, that was not the point. The most important part was the amount of blood on God's Scorpio's head. 1 billion points. A full billion points. How many times would 100,000 points need to be dealt with? Long Fei's scalp was tingling. In that 7 seconds, no matter how fast Long Fei's attack was, it was impossible to kill God's Scorpio in one hit. His power was not enough. The golden cudgel was not strong enough. Not enough energy. Only the higher the amount of energy filled up, the stronger the power of the Sun Wukong would be. There were only 4 layers of energy now. It was easy to deal with the powerhouse S, but God Scorpio was the destiny god envoy. he had the divine body. Not at all. At this moment, Long Fei sent a sound transmission to Guerrero and said, "Bring all the merry people into the forbidden grounds. Quick, quick, quick." Tears formed at the corners of Guerrero's eyes. He quickly formed a seal with his hands, using the stones on the ground to quickly create puppets. In a few moments, he had created a few super puppets. At the same time, Long Fei roared out, "Everyone retreat into the valley. Quickly!" Would the destruction of the mechanism spell kill him? Long Fei didn't know. Moreover, God Scorpio was angry, being smashed down by Long Fei's staff. The anger in his heart flared up, and he said solemnly, "Your power is quite interesting, but even if I have to die, I must die." Long Fei grinned. "Grandson, come. Let's see who dies." At the same time, Long Fei said to Kunlun-Zi, "Leave quickly." And then, without waiting for God Scorpio to fly up and swing the staff down again, God Scorpio flicked his right hand, and a long poisonous spike formed. The poisonous spike became a sword that was about 3,000 meters long, blocking. Chapter 1308, Fate Trial. Chapter 1308, Fate Trial. The 3,000-meter long venom spike. Sword pierced through the void. Long Fei released the power of the Sun Wukong's possession completely, and the 108,000 kilograms golden cudgel also grew bigger, thicker, and longer as it slashed down. Boom! The divine light exploded out, causing the entire chaos realm to shake violently. Long Fei's body moved. Again, the Samisen True Fire's energy was even sharper than before, and once it started to burn, Long Fei swung his staff down heavily. The sound was even more explosive. The surrounding space began to crack and shatter, unable to withstand the collision of divine power at all. Again, Long Fei held the golden cudgel tightly in his hands and smashed down at God Scorpio again. He was not going to give God's Scorpio the chance to fly back up. Rumble! The ground trembled. God Scorpio was thrown down once again. At this moment, outside of Kunlun-Zi, everyone was brought back to the Forbidden Valley by Guerrero's super puppet. Huff, huff, huff. God Scorpio was gasping for breath, his eyes spitting fire. He was no longer calm like before, but filled with anger. "You dare to fight against Destiny God. You are tired of living." God's Scorpio's male voice turned cold, and the divine power around him surged like a raging tide as he stared at Long Fei and spoke while gnashing his teeth. 7 seconds became shorter and shorter. Long Fei did not have the time to argue with him. The only thing he could do was to severely injure God's Scorpio as much as possible. An Empyrean god? Bullshit! What is the god of fate? Your father's life belongs to me. Long Fei roared. The golden cudgel turned into the gigantic, immovable sea divine needle mode and smashed down with the staff. The sky darkened. It was as if words were heard by the heavens, heard by the main temple's god of fate. The sky exploded as he said in a deep voice, "What a great sentence! I can't help but think. Let's see if your life can surpass the limits of fate today." Buzz. The sky darkened, and a stream of divine power came down. The moment the sea-freezing divine needle came crashing down, the power in God's Scorpio's body suddenly changed. Buzz. The poisonous thorns were so high up in the sky, the divine power poured into his body immediately turned into a set of armor, the God's Scorpio divine armor. The divine armor was released. It was as if a huge God's Scorpio resided on his body. His appearance was domineering, sinister, and his defense was even more heaven-defying. God Scorpio, Star God armor. The constellation divine armor had the defensive power of the Destiny God's divine body. Even Long Fei's attack, with the defensive power of the Sun Wukong, wouldn't be able to shake it in the slightest. At this moment, the divine light of the boss on God's, Scorpio's body became even more dazzling. The immovable sea divine needle struck down. God's, Scorpio's body did not move at all. He was completely unharmed. Boom. Rumble. The divine light soared into the sky like a beam that shot into the horizon. The entire chaos realm could see the beam of light, and everyone's heart trembled. Too powerful. Clang! With a loud noise, both of Long Fei's arms became numb, and his palm split open, causing blood to drip out. After 7 seconds, the golden cudgel was knocked off its hands by the huge rebound. Uff! Long Fei retreated, and blood sprayed out from his mouth like a fountain. His body flew a few thousand meters and crashed into a mountain. The mountain cracked and seemed like it was about to collapse. The defense of God's, Scorpio's divine armor was too strong. God's Scorpio slowly floated in the air, stared at the direction where Long Fei had collided, and laughed disdainfully. My life is not controlled by the heavens, but by me? Ha ha ha. You actually dare to say such words with your strength? You overestimate yourself. As soon as he finished, God's Scorpio moved his body as a divine light flashed. Boom! He instantly landed at the spot where Long Fei had fallen, looking at the blood hanging from the corner of Long Fei's mouth. His face was pale white. He said, "Kid, don't even think of escaping from the control of the destiny god. You're the same as well." Fate judgment. With a flip of his right hand, the venomous stinger sword moved and pierced straight into Xiang Longfei's forehead. At this moment, the judgment power of the destiny god surged out. The sword stabbed down. How can a man fight against God? The gods were high and mighty. The deity controlled all the creatures of this world. God controls the fate of all mankind. How could a person be a match for a god? In the chaos realm, many people were ridiculing Long Fei, laughing at his overestimation of his strength, ridiculing his arrogance, ridiculing how he could not even take a single blow, and even tried to fight against the gods. This was simply courting death. Long Fei did not have the slightest bit of fear facing the power of fate judgment. Then can your fate judgment take my life? Resurrection ring, activate. At the same time, the idea in Long Fei's heart entered the warpet space, roared out, and said, "Sky-swallowing rat, aren't you able to swallow even the sky? Come on, swallow the so-called god." Without waiting for Long Fei to finish, the poisonous spike in God's Scorpio's hand pierced the center of Long Fei's brows. Power of judgment. Boom. The mountain was penetrated, and Long Fei was firmly nailed to the ground. A beam of light broke through the mountain and exploded out millions of kilometers, the Kunlun Mountains' spirit energy having been emptied out in an instant. 10,000 beasts cried out in a low voice as they died one after another. Kunlun Mountains' life force was taken at this moment. With lightning speed, it withered, died, and died.